morning, the 16th of September. Welcome to Good Morning Kenya. We are broadcasting to you live from the broadcasting house. And today, I feel like everyone is happy. I'm speaking from the people I have seen today in studio, beginning with my colleagues. Every one of them just seems to be in a really happy mood. I don't know, I think it's the Faith Kipyegon win. You know, we've been doing so well in athletics, the Diamond League. We had Faith Kipyegon win her 5th Diamond League and breaking the record as well. I mean, she is just who she thinks she is. Exactly. We had our Kenyan athletes just performing really, really well at the concluded Brussels Diamond League, and we are happy about that. And then, can I also mention, Victor, did you know that Manchester United won? Actually, not just any kind of win. 3-0.
Yes, they won?
Yeah. You didn't know about that? Let me inform you.
I had better things. I had better football to watch yesterday.
Please.
I had better football to watch yesterday.
Give credit where it's due.
Arsenal won 1-0.
1-0, yeah. Just one.
Just one?
Just one.
And you said that which team won?
The best team around, that's Manchester United. We won 3-0. So no ligi imeanza sasa.
Congratulations to that team. I don't know which team was that. In the name of football, welcome to the program. My name is Victor. I hope you had a great weekend. Of course, it was eventful. Athletics and all manner of things that really happened. But you know, when it comes to Monday, we talk about matters politics. And today we want to take a look at the 3rd year as the president is also starting his 3rd year in office. He celebrated his 2nd year on Friday. Just want to take a bit of it. What are some of the gains, misses that he had? And of course, what we should be expecting as he starts his 3rd year. But quite most importantly, we also, which was all in the media, that the deputy president skipped the president's function in his home turf. That is in Nyeri yesterday. He was in India. So basically what is happening? That is a big question. What is happening? My question to this is, do you think it's deliberate? Do you think the deputy president is actually avoiding his boss? And do you think there is a problem between the president and his deputy? I think we need to answer that question at the top of the hour. I have my guest who will be coming on the show, so keep around because we need to unpack this. If there is a problem or not, there's that question of who is the kingpin of the mountain. The deputy president does not have a party that calls his name, that this party belongs to so and so. And 69 MPs in the mountain said they are backing Kithure Kindiki. In politics, there's nothing that is happening by accident. Let's take a look at that at the top of the hour. Mike.
Yes. And speaking of Murima, there's a, you know...
You got it right.
Yes, Murima.
Rewind, take 2.
Speaking of Murima,
right?
The fissure seems to be widening every day. Because yesterday, if you listened to what the majority leader, that is Kimani Ichung'wah, what he told the president, and looking at the events of having 2 parallel events within the mountain region, there's a lot that is going on. Either with time we'll know for sure what is happening, and keep it KBC because we'll be right here to tell you about that. Welcome to the program. My name is Mike Migu. Remember, you can be part of these conversations that are happening here on Good Morning Kenya through our social media platforms. We are KBC Channel 1 on all our social media platforms, and also visit our website, that is www.kbc.co.ke. Marie, how are you?
A very good morning to you all. So I was just listening to the football, banter and all that. And I'm lost.
Yes.
Victor, as always,
Yes.
I have no team except by association.
My director, Ben Kamote, do you have a football team from Kitui?
One that I can join, yeah? But it's all good. As I always say, I don't lose my sleep over football, but there are times when that can happen, and that is only during World Cup and Africa Cup of Nations. Those are the only, can I say, championships that can keep me up. But all good. Arsenal won, only one. Manchester 3, Vivian, yeah?
Yes.
Okay. So I don't know whether the fact that Manchester has won 3 and Arsenal won who is the better team. But
Okay.
yes, a very
Don't
good
annoy
morning
Victor.
from wherever you're joining us here in Nairobi and across the country. My name is Maria Yambo, and indeed you're just in time for the Good Morning Kenya show. My colleagues have already alluded to the political entries that were happening over the weekend and also the past week. And so those are some of the things that we'll be bringing up in the news this morning, including the fact that the deputy president and the president himself are cautioning, political leaders to stop early campaigns. That has been, the talk throughout the Mount Kenya politics also taking center stage. And definitely later on in this bulletin, I'll be bringing you up to speed with what is happening in sports. That is Faith Kipyegon winning the Brussels Diamond League 1500 meters race. And also Gor Mahia lost. It's not only... Okay, let me not get into the football issue. But all that's coming up in the news this morning, so stay with us if you can. Well, thank you so much for making the time for us this morning. Now, a section of Kenya Kwanza leaders have urged President William Ruto to crack the whip on some of the state officers whom they claim have gone rogue. The leaders who accompanied President William Ruto for a church service at Stewards Revival Pentecostal Church in Nairobi County stated that the administration should speak in one voice and concentrate in delivering its mandate to the electorate. President Ruto urged leaders to forgo 2027 succession politics.
President William Ruto arrived into the country 6 a.m. on Sunday after completing his two-day state visit in Berlin, Germany.
Na wakati nilisema ya kwamba tutakuwa na nafasi ya vijana kwenda Kenya, kutoka Kenya kwenda Ujerumani, wengine walisema sisemi ukweli. Lakini Ijumaa walijua kuna mpango.
The commander-in-chief hours later joined a congregation for a church service at the Stewards Revival Pentecostal Church in Nairobi County.
We will not let you down. We are going to change this country. Tumeitoa mahali ilikuwa bei ya unga ilikuwa 200, sasa ni 100. Unasema imefika 90 na bado tunaisukuma.
President Ruto used the occasion to reveal some of the goodies he came back with from the European nation.
Na tayari nilikiwa kule Ijumaa hiyo, tayari wa Kenya walikuwa washafika wa kufanya kazi. Na isitoshe tarehe 27 ambaye ni kama wiki 2 zijazo, kutakuwa na recruitment ya kwanza ya vijana wa Kenya watakao kwenda kufanya kazi Ujerumani. Sasa tuko na mkataba ambayo vijana wa Kenya wataweza kufanya kazi wakiwa Kenya, kampuni za Ujerumani.
However, leaders accompanying the head of state used the opportunity to urge him to stamp his authority and call to order some of the state officers whom they claim are running amok.
Na sisi wengine tukaitwa hyenas. Unajua wengine tumeitwa barking dogs and you are the dog owner. But I want to tell Your Excellency, take heart. Haya mambo yote, yale majina yote utaitwa, yale matusi yote utatukanwa, just get this country to the shore safely.
We support the broad-based agenda that we have for our country. Mtu asikutishe ati uangalie nyuma. Every Kenyan deserves to feel that they are part of the government.
The leader stated that the administration should speak in one voice to achieve its goals for the people.
The viper, the snake in your government, please shake it off. Shake it off, Your Excellency. Shake it off, not for your own sake so that it doesn't bite you. Shake off the snake on your hand so that your hand may do what the Lord purposed that hand to do.
Vile Ishungu amesema, take full control. We don't want to be derailed. Sisi tunafanya kazi kwa mpangilio.
President Ruto noted that he will ensure that those who have lost faith in what the administration is trying to achieve will be aided back to the right trajectory.
Na msikuwe na wasiwasi na wale ambao wamepoteza imani. Unajua kuna watu wengine wanasema hii haiwezi kufanyika, hiyo sijui ni uongo, ile hata haiwezi kufanyika. Mimi ni mtu naelewa neno la Mungu.
Shortly after the Nairobi church service, the president and a host of leaders joined congregants at the African Independent Pentecostal Church of Africa in Nyeri County. Here, the president called for unity of purpose among the leaders and forego 2027 politics.
Maneno ya 2027. Tafadhali, tupunguze mambo ya 2027. Huko 2027 ni Mungu na wananchi ndio wataamua.
Na nikampeleka katika nyumba yake.
Well, the same sentiments were echoed by Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, who on Sunday implored on leaders from the Mount Kenya region to stop high-octane politics and focus on their respective duties, that is development, addressing the faithful of Our Lady of Sorrows Baricho Catholic Parish, that is in Kirinyaga County, at the Baricho Primary School grounds after the Sunday Holy Mass marking centenary celebrations of the parish. Gachagua urged leaders to focus on the government's development agenda.
Amid heated political debate on political realignments and heavy criticism directed to the Deputy President, Rigathi Gachagua on Sunday joined faithful in Kirinyaga for a church service for centenary celebrations. It is here that the DP answered his opponents plotting against him, urging leaders to put a hold on politicking and focus on development.
Hii ni wakati ya kazi. As far as I know, uchaguzi uliisha. Ama iko uchaguzi. The next election is 2027. Nyinyi watu ya Baricho, mlinipatia kura tukiwa na rais. Vile governor amesema kila mtu afanye kazi yake. Rais apewe nafasi afanye kazi yake. Deputy President apewe nafasi afanye kazi ya.
Gachagua, who has been at the epicenter of heavy politicking, with some leaders plotting his impeachment, told off his critics, claiming the masses knew what to do and needed no guidance on who is best suited to lead them, as the development record will speak for itself come 2027.
Kila mtu ako na kazi yake. Wakati ukifika, watu watarudi kwa raia.
The leaders present at the event lauded the Deputy President over his efforts in uniting the country.
Sababu sisi tuliamuka asubuhi na mapema, tukachagua Rigiji na tukamchagua rais na kura 7 million kura, si ndio? Kwa hivyo huwezi tuambia tusiongee. Hawa ndio wamekula sakramenti, wamekula ya roho, wakule ya siasa sasa. Sababu ni watu wetu hawa. Mimi ningetaka kusema nimetoka mbali uko Kiambu. Na mimi ningetaka kusema Rigiji, you are our uniting factor. Mimi nitasimama na wewe, Kiambu inasimama na wewe. Na umekuwa ukiongea tuungane. Watu wanauliza tuungane aje na tushaungana. Kumbe ulikuwa umeona mbele. Kuna watu wanatumiwa kugawanya mulima.
Na sisi tunaomba kila kiongozi ambaye yako hapa amechaguliwa mlima aheshimu Rigiji. Tunajua walienda kule Nyahururu wakafanya declaration. Wakasema wanafanya mikataba. Sisi tunaambia hawa wananchi 2027 ndio wataamua.
This is Environment, Climate Change and Forestry CS Ed Nduale, who spoke in Garissa, hit out at a section of leaders whom he accused of advancing what he termed as tribal politics.
You have a choice to leave all government and spearhead the interests of your community and sectarian interests. Or you have a choice to live by the oath of office you have taken.
At the same time, Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka is calling on the president to be sincere about asking politicians not to campaign but instead focus on service delivery. Kalonzo, who spoke in Kirinyaga County yesterday, said that the Mount Kenya division narrative is a well-orchestrated plan for the 2027 pre-elections campaign, which he is urging the mountain not to fall for. In Kakamega County, Governor Fernandes Barasa now wants the Orange Democratic Movement, that is ODM, to refrain from interfering with Kakamega County Assembly affairs. Barasa says the county has capable leaders who get their mandate from the electorate and not external forces. This and more in our Political Watch segment.
Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka has urged residents of Mount Kenya region to be wary of a narrative that is being pushed to divide their votes ahead of the 2027 election.
Mkisikia kuna shida in the Mount Kenya region ya kugawanya the region mara mbili, mjue that is a strategy by William Ruto ya kupanga 2027.
Addressing a congregation at the St. Joseph's Church, Kadongo, in Mwea constituency in Kirinyaga County, Kalonzo faulted the president for what he says is early campaigns while asking other politicians not to do so.
Lakini anamlaunch leo State House na kesho Ruto anajilaunch Kisumu. And everything William Ruto is doing is campaigning for 2027.
Elsewhere, Kakamega County Governor Fernandes Barasa has urged the Central Management Committee of ODM Party to stop micromanaging the affairs of Kakamega County Assembly.
I want to ask and request the leadership of ODM, please don't be soaked in the politics of Kakamega.
Also, company leaders and locals say the region feels left out of government, urging the president to rethink his working relationship with the area.
Na sisi kama county tunasikia tumetengwa wakati hatuna mtu mmoja katika national government.
Nani alijua nitakuwa waziri? Hata mimi mwenyewe siwadanganyi, sikujua.
And finally, the people of Imenti have raised concerns over what they claim is systemic marginalization of the region. They have claimed that there are instances where certain public figures from the region have been discriminated against, saying it goes against the principles of fairness and meritocracy.
We urge the government to review and strengthen its anti-marginalization and anti-discrimination laws. This will ensure that there is no region or sub-region that is marginalized on development.
To some health matters now, a family from Dandora Phase 5 in Nairobi County is appealing for financial support to cater to their keen's treatment. Malvin Musungu, 27 years of age, is physically disabled and is fully dependent on his parents. Doctors have, however, advised that he takes physiotherapy sessions, which can help significantly improve the quality of his life. Musungu's family is, however, unable to raise the money needed and are asking well-wishers to come to their aid. Our reporter, Opicho Chemtai, has more details.
At Dandora Phase 5 in Nairobi County, we meet 27-year-old Malvin Musungu and his mother. From a distance, Malvin looks healthy until he attempts to walk. But what is the story behind Malvin's condition?
Wakati nilimpata after nilifanywa CS, after three days nikaletewa mtoto. Nikauliza daktari, mtoto wangu ali na afanye chochote na amki. Daktari akaniambia mtoto wako alikuwa na hakulia wakati alitoka kwa tumbo. Iliitwa prolonged labor. So mtoto hakulia na hiyo ni shida, atakuwa polepole.
The distressed mother, who also admits that she has fallen into depression due to her son's condition, says that she had to quit her job to attend to her son.
Sai Malvin ako na 27 years. Mtu anatakana ako na bibi, ako na watoto. Amefanya mimi niko kwa nyumba. Niko tu na yeye throughout. Mtu anakuuliza swali unashindwa utamjibu nini? Chungu. Tumejaribu, nimezunguka kwa watu wote hao wenye wanasemanga wanashughulika na disability. Kuna mtu anatusaidia, tunaambiwa bedridden. naoni mtoto amefanya, nimewacha kazi.
She shares how hard it has been raising Malvin due to the stigma and stereotypes associated with disability in society.
Kuna wale umezaliwa nao, kuna kazi nsiwake, hata kuna mtu anaweza kuja kuuliza Malvin anaendelea aje. Ama siku moja tu aseme, acha tu nikakuoshe ama hakuna, unabaki tu peke yako kama mzazi.
In an emotional plea, Agnes says she has exhausted all her resources to fund her son's physiotherapy sessions.
Sababu ukimwacha kwa nyumba utakuta maiti. So, kama naweza pata usaidizi wowote. Sangu ni tu ametembea.
Akalitini kutoka sibali honi. Na nikiono inaumanga ingine.
Despite the doctor's recommendations that Malvin will require at least 2 more years of treatment, estimated to cost 500,000 Kenyan shillings, she now finds herself with nothing left to continue the care Malvin desperately needs. To assist Malvin's family, you can channel your contribution through his mother's cell phone number 0792707980. Agnes Dindi Mutisia.
A mother's pain, so we hope that the family will get all the assistance that they need. And maybe it's time to also have a conversation about how such patients can be helped through, maybe free medical attention from the government. Now, President William Ruto has said the government will stand with parents who lost their children in the tragic Hillside Academy in Fano in Nyeri County that led to the death of 21 students. Speaking at the African Independent Pentecostal Church of Africa in Nyeri County, the head of state assured that the government will help the families with burial preparations. The president also allocated 2 million shillings to cater to students whose properties were razed by the September 5th night fire. Investigations into the tragic accident or incident that is are still ongoing.
Watoto ambao waliteketea katika moto, tutapanga mazishi yao na wazazi wao. Wale biti yao ilichomeka, gavana ameniambia kuna wanafunzi karibu 140 hivi. Kwa hivyo Bwana Wainaina, wewe ndio mtu yetu ya mkono ya pale. Kama mbunge wa pale Kieni, nitakutuma tena leo na shilingi 2,000,000 ununulie wale watoto wote wale viti yao ilichomeka. Mimi vile vile nitatafuta huyo Bwana Kinywa ambaye alitengeneza hiyo shule na anasaidia watoto wengi. Baada ya investigation kukamilika, tuone pia vile tunaweza kusaidia hiyo shule ndio iweze kutupatia nafasi ya kufundisha watoto wetu.
Now, the Speaker of the National Assembly has called upon the House Business Committee to prioritize urgent reconstitution of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, IEBC, among the key agendas for consideration when the House resumes this Tuesday after a month-long recess. Speaking in a Sunday service, at a Sunday service that is at Chebukwa Catholic Church in Bungoma, Wetangula noted that there is need to expedite the reconstitution of the electoral body to ensure that by-elections and boundary delimitations are done ahead of the 2027 elections. Speaking, Wetangula the Speaker also called on Chief Justice to expedite court cases related to the IEBC to avoid further disruption of the process. With calls for formulation of IEBC selection panel, Parliament through the Parliamentary Service Commission and the Law Society of Kenya are expected to name their representatives in this selection panel. The parliamentary process for selecting new IEBC members stalled following a tribunal court order preventing Parliament from forwarding any names to President William Ruto.
Priority business includes the possibility of finishing up the reconstitution of IEBC. The country has gone without IEBC for a long time, And I take this opportunity to encourage those who have been making challenges in court to stall the process of having a selection panel for IEBC, to rethink their minds and give way for this noble cause. Because the country cannot go to the next elections without boundary review, without boundary delimitation, and without holding by-elections of the constituencies that are already vacant, either by way of resignation, death, or court processes. We also have many wards that have got vacancies that need to have by-elections. And as you know, the Supreme Court has directed that IEBC means commissioners and not the secretariat. So without commissioners, we cannot move. I also want to appeal to the Chief Justice that all the cases that are in court legitimately challenging this process, please fast-track them, give them priority so that we can be able to finish them and have an IEBC in place.
I look at counties now where Turkana leaders have cautioned against theft of drugs meant for public hospitals in the wake of the county government procuring drugs worth 120 million shillings. Details in our County News Roundup.
Turkana Governor Lomorukai, while flagging off the drugs procured from the Kenya Medical Supplies Agency in Lokicha, Turkana South, said the consignment is expected to last for 6 months.
We do budget enough money for medicine. Of course, this will last us for 6 months. And then through our supplementary, we are going to also put some money to ensure that the remaining part of the year is also handled.
Elsewhere, Baringo County Government, in partnership with a non-governmental organization, has rolled out programs aimed at empowering girls facing the challenges of early pregnancy, gender-based violence, and HIV and AIDS.
For a long time, there has been no secondary school in this area. This whole division called Akoret has now gotten its first girls' high school in the history of mankind.
Meanwhile, members of the Orange Democratic Movement Party in Homa Bay are demanding the reopening of the county party office. The members raised concerns over its frequent closure, claiming its unavailability has made it difficult for members to access essential party services.
And this has brought a big worry to us as staunch believers of ODM. And we are asking what is happening and what we should now put forward and demand as party followers is to put this appeal to open that office so that any grievances concerning the party should be discussed there.
Finally, the government held public participation meeting in Kapsabet to discuss the proposed amendments to the civil registration laws of 2024 and the proposed maisha number cards.
Kwa sababu ya inahitaji pesa nyingi. Huko vijijini kuna watoto mayatima, wazazi wote wamekufa. Sasa watoto kama watatoa wapi pesa ya kulipa hii huduma maisha card?
Sasa atakawia birth certificate au atakawia hii maisha card. Hiyo maisha card tukae kama samani, hakuna kitu yenye tunapitisa.
And for the ease of movement from Kenya to other countries, we have to update our registration system to fit in the electronic system or to fit within the international standards.
A look at sports now. Gor Mahia suffered a 3-0 loss against the 12 times CAF Champions League winners, that is Al Ahly of Egypt, in their first leg, second preliminary round of the CAF Champions League Clash played on Sunday at the Nyayo National Stadium here in Nairobi. Rami Rabia handed Al Ali the lead on the quarter mark before Pasi Tau scored a second a minute later. Gor Mahia's comeback efforts mounted to none as Al Ali went on to seal their victory when Tau scored his second of the match and a third for the defending champions with 13 minutes to go. Gor Mahia have a mountain to climb when the two sides clash in the reverse fixture next Saturday in Cairo. The winners of the two-legged tie will qualify for the group stage of the competition.
Nekana Fifu, Pasi Tau Moze! Unjani! Pasi hapa na Tahir. Pasi Tau anaenda kwa Wesam Abu Ali. Wesam anakwenda chini. Pasi Tau! Pasi Musi Tau. Kwa mara nyingine anaweka chuma.
Well, and that's where we end the bulletin this morning. Thank you so much for taking the time to start your day with us here on Good Morning Kenya. Stay with us if you can. Victor Lowe will be coming up just shortly with matters politics. But before then, let's get the weather forecast.
I never heard the music so sweet. I repeat.
Well, go on, me brethren, big things are going. Remember, each and every Monday we have to shell down the place with nothing but the best of smooth way the vibes in your favorite station. You know these things, man.
Alafu kila Tuesday, kata simu tupo side, giving you Kenyan music from the 254.
And of course, you can spice up your Wednesday by enjoying blazing hot hip-hop and R&B jams.
We don't got no label. She says she want bottles.
Vibes and vibes as we go all across Africa, Kenya, Nigeria, Ghana, all the way to Tanzania to give you nothing but the best on Afro Thursday. Make sure you make a date with us each and every single Friday with me, DJ_Liza Diva,
DJ Cold,
and me, Wanjiko. This is Club One Extra.
The young generation awakens on Y254, the leading youth TV station in Kenya. We treat you to current affairs, entrepreneurship, health, and human interest conversations.
It's art, it's culture,
movies, gossip and trends, sports, drama.
We bring you a vibe like no other, straight to your living room.
To keep you informed, inspired, entertained, and most of all, refreshed.
We are such a vibe.
Y254. Imagine.
I said let's get to work.
Hey, at little girl, it's a gift for you. You know, respect goes both ways.
If the aim was to let the teacher go quietly, how come there are so many stories about his departure? How come? Something is amiss, eh? Something is amiss.
I can confidently say I have learned nothing, and I am confident it is going to get worse before it gets better.
How about who are you?
I am Mr. Fridge.
What sort of a stupid name is that? What did you do to piss off your parents like that?
The thing that I know is that you are full of lies, but you are not going to fool me again. And don't you even think that you're going to come out of this one alive. Where are you? Tell me. You should at least face me, you darn woman.
What are you saying? That you were expecting Rodrigo's baby? Tell me, why did you lie to me, Daddy? How could you make a fool out of me?
Shh. Relax, girl. Don't move a finger. No. You're not allowed to call anybody silly.
What do you want with me?
Just to keep you company. I want Oligario.
You lost. You lost, Malena. Las Bandidas.
Welcome back. Good morning. And now 7 minutes past 7 a.m. Good morning. Good to see you once again. Being a Monday, it's now time for us to take a look at what's happening in the political arena. Are you ready for that? Yes, I'm ready, and my guests are also ready in studio. I want to take a look at what is really happening in the political arena, what is really making us talk politics in this country. For today, the past days, and of course the number of days to come. I'll also start with the front page of the daily paper, local dailies. And also, on that note, then we get into the political segment. Before then, let me just welcome my guests already in studio. I must admit again that somebody is going, Wakili, why did the Wakili go to the washroom? The bathroom?
There are many reasons. But the main reason is that it's a function that can't be... it's a function that must force you to do it.
Yes.
Yeah. But there are many reasons.
Yeah.
The other reasons are that a person could go to spruce himself up, or to spruce herself up.
Yes.
The other reason is that you just wanted to enjoy the ambience of the place. So there are many reasons.
Okay. I don't know why King David is laughing at that question, because I asked that question intentionally. Why did the lawyer go to the bathroom? To sue and sue?
Yes, exactly.
If you get my point.
Yes, now you have it.
King David, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
You took some time to load that.
Yes. You know, sometimes you'd listen and meditate.
Right.
So on this one, it's good to meditate.
Good to see you.
Because sometimes people run and you look at what is chasing them and you don't understand. Good to see you too, Victor.
Karibu sana.
Just for the listeners, probably our duty is to sue. So when you go to the toilet, you go and sue. So it's a business to sue.
I see. Now you get it.
Thank you.
So that's sue times 2. Raise to power 2. Mark Ndingo, good morning.
Good morning.
Good to see you as well as Eric Muturi. He calls himself Muturu Adude. I don't need to run away from that. That is his nickname, and it will have to stick.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I hear you have very intellectual jokes this morning. and you know our pin, I'm not sure whether it's a king pin, but let's use the pin. Our pin from Murima has said, you know, we are not very clever. Hatujui maneno mingi. That's when you share intellectual jokes on the set, you lose some of us. So you need to discuss these matters in a language
the king,
that the person from Murima, can understand.
Now that you have the pin, the king is here.
At least we know the pin is there. What we are not sure is the king part.
Okay.
Yes.
I get to understand that. I will try and relocate where that king is. But gentlemen, thank you so much for coming as always. Let me start with the front page of the local dailies very fast. Dilemma of having convict for police boss. That is what I have on the front page of the Standard newspaper. Dilemma of having convict for police boss. There you have it. That is acting IG, Masengeli. And now the Standard is putting it in black and white. Dilemma of having convict for police boss. And that is what I have here. The country is waiting to see if Acting Inspector General of Police will serve his prison sentence as directed by the courts, even as the lawyers and activists mull over options should he decide to ignore the court order. He says he will appeal the decision. So let me quote what LSK President, that is Faith Odhiambo, said, that the court has jurisdiction over the acting IG and there are other constitutional avenues we will consider. What did Caleb Wanga, Usalama Executive Director, say? That this is a complex issue. The IG's office is under scrutiny. Someone might file a case to declare him unfit for office. Still on the front page. A prognos court order on fuel levy, and motorists will now have to pay. Why fracking is making news in the US. And tea farmers await bonus after protest. That is what is here on the front page. Again, what jobs? Germany denies Ruto 250,000 deal. What jobs? Germany denies Ruto 250,000 job deals, whereas Kenya and Germany signed a labor deal that will see Kenyans get jobs in Europe. The number being touted is incorrect, according to German officials. And finally, to the president, loyalty supersedes competence. That is what's on the front page of the Standard newspaper. 2 years into his administration, President William Ruto has shown his rewards, that he rewards loyalty, sometimes at the expense of merit. And health matters. There is a cost to why Mpox vaccine will not be available to all. So you can take a look at the front page. There's a sneak peek of what's on the front page of the Standard newspaper. But let me start with you, David, again. Dilemma of having convict for police boss in 1 minute, if you can. 7 court orders, none was honored. And now here we are. He's been convicted.
Thank you, Victor. I think the jokes in Kenya are taken to the extreme. In Kenya, there is a lot of jokes and activism. We are now suffering a case where we have too much of judicial activism that, to my thinking as an individual, you do things to the extreme. We want to use examples because history is never wrong. Sometimes back, they sent their former DCI boss, Kinoti, to committee, and he was ordered to report to the prison and something of that sort. Up to date, Kinot has never been to committee. So I don't know why the judge would think by ordering Masengeli to go to the commander of the Commission of Prisons would help make things better. So I think there need to be a better and clear way of these systems correlating. Why do I say that? Police are the clients of the court. Police arrest people, take to the court, jails people, police carries them to the prison. And so if you tell the police boss to go and report to the prisons, then it becomes a very serious conflict. I think there need to be a better way of solving issues that we are facing as a country, especially matters of court cases. My friend Wakil here, we usually argue on that statement so much of court orders. It is okay. The courts can issue court orders right, left, and center if they want to. But then let's be very clear on how we want them implemented and why we are issuing them. Issue something that is practical, realistic, and doable. Don't just do it for the purposes of making a name and people laughing and smiling, and in the long run, it embarrasses you. Because the fact, between me and you, chances of Masengeli going to prison because he was in prison for 6 months are very minimum. If there is any, it might not work. So I think in Kenya, we need to work out this. We need to find a way of correlating. We need to find a way of having a consensus on matters national security and matters law and everything as the systems work. We need to have respect towards each institution. Police respect the judiciary. Judiciary love others. It is like one big family. We need one another. We need to make this country work, and we must avoid judicial activism.
How do you think this should have been handled?
I think there is a way we could have a better relating on matters dealing with, like they say, they needed police to present some people who have been missing. I think there is a better way of judiciary finding out what exactly is happening, because at some point, the acting IG did not appear, but sent the assistant, sent some people from his office to go and represent him. But then the judge says we don't want anybody else, but it must be the IG, which makes it...
Because he was the accused person.
Even though, you are not accusing individual, we are accusing the institution. It is not Masengeli who has an issue. It is police, the IG who has an issue. And I want to think that even if Masengeli, for some reason, ceased to be the acting IG, that case will still stand against the police of Kenya. So it is not about a person. It is about an institution. And if it is an institution, then let's find a better module of dealing with issues. One, if I cannot be there, and Kithi here, we work together, I sent him to represent me, then let's respect that part, that we have a representation, we have a voice from this institution.
Would you, I'm trying to avoid this word, common mwananchi, because to me there's nobody common. But let me use this now that it's there. Now you are supposing, or you are suggesting that there should be a better way that the two arms of government should be working.
Yes.
The judiciary and the other side of the police. You'd imagine if a common mwananchi was summoned 7 times. 7 times. So that person, that common mwananchi right now should have been under some...
And that is the same argument.
Somewhere.
That is the same argument we've had, because after the judge issues orders that Masengeli should report to the prison, then he says, however, we are giving you 7 days. 7 days, you can change this by appearing. Meaning, there is nothing as comparable to a common mwananchi like we would want it to be. He has already given it a special lining. He has given it some sugar coating that, yes, this is just a threat.
All right.
We are threatening you. Do it or we come for you, which is wrong.
I like your argument. Wakili, dilemma of having convict for police force.
I'll argue that and present it, sorry for my voice.
No problem.
As a lawyer. Let me tell you something. You can run away from the law if you want, because of the power enclosed or insulating you at the time. We'll get you. We will get you. Nobody is above the law. Nobody, including the president. Nobody. And therefore, Masengeli better learns early that he can't run away every day. We're going to get him. We are saying so because as LSK, we prosecuted people's children. We prosecuted cases where people's children have been killed by bullets without justification. We have prosecuted cases where people have been abducted, children of mothers who are nobodies in this country because of poverty and circumstances presented to them, forced upon them by society. So we are saying there is something called command responsibility. Command responsibility is not about assistants coming to give a story that my boss is not available, he is chasing some bandits elsewhere. When we summon you, we summon you. And an order of a court is an order of a court to everyone, you, me, Masengeli, and the president, and anyone else. So it doesn't matter how long he runs away because he's close with certain powers and some bodyguards. We will get him. And there's nothing rationalizing about that. The law is the law is the law. It remains as much. So we will get Masengeli. Whether he leaves office or not, the disobedience of a court order is personal. We will get Masengeli, I can assure you. So it's not a threat. It's about a threat by the law itself, threatening everyone, because that's the duty of the law, to be able to threaten everyone into submission and therefore deterrence. He better obeys the law because it is a must. There's no option. We can't put up a constitution and then the constitution applies to you and me. We pay taxes to put someone in office. That person thinks he can run away from the law. He won't run away from the law. We will get him. I can assure you he'll be in court. And if it is going the first time that we're going to jail a person of that high standing, we will jail him. We have seen governors going. He's not going to be the first high-profile person to go to jail. We will get him. And I can assure you. Because the only way is that he should use the same courts that he does not want to appear to be able to secure his freedom. Because his freedom now is constrained. Freedom of movement. Freedom to work in the office that he's working. He's not supposed to work in that office. He is supposed to be in jail. So what is the point here? The point is, if you don't want to go to the courts because you think that you can run away from the orders of the court and its jurisdiction, but you have to appear before the courts again to be able to challenge the order or set it aside if you have to. So obviously he has to appear before the courts. There are no two ways about it. The courts have made orders. He does not want to appear before the court, but he has to access the courts for purposes of making a representation of himself and the excuses to be excused from serving a jail sentence. So he must appear before the courts. That's what I'm saying. We will get him somehow, somewhat. Right. And let me say this. People can flap in the air in the manner that they want. Ultimately, the law is going to catch up with them. It's about the law. We in this country, we exist because of the law. Not like we like each other, not like we love each other, no. Because the laws have delineated boundaries. Somehow, somewhat, I have a duty, you have a duty, to tolerate me, and I have to tolerate you. If you don't, then the law has to take its course. How else do we serve ourselves in this country as citizens without the law? Because we are different. From different tribes, from different background. The commonality is that we are in a certain geographical area that is regulated by law. So everybody is under the law. And by the way, he is not serving that sentence because of an office. That office exists because we've said it exists. And he came to occupy that office not as a right, but in trust of the people of Kenya based on law. So it is the law that keeps him there. It is the law that he serves. It is the law that he must obey. He will obey it. He will obey it. Mark Ndingo, what next?
Although I think we live in a society where we are never serious. There must be law and order in our systems. I think one would argue that we've had many of these court orders before, and none has been followed. But I think it will reach a time where something has to be done, because you cannot live in a society where some people are so special than others. If it were a small, let me call him a small person, or the common mwananchi, so to say, if it was a common mwananchi who had stolen a chicken, that person could have been jailed a long time ago. But here you find a police inspector who has been given the authority to run the security system. And many things have happened, and if this person wants to continue being the Inspector General of our police, I think the best thing for him would have to obey the court order. So I think one thing I want to say, I want to thank the Law Society of Kenya for taking up this matter. And I'm sure with the kind of unity they have of recent times, I think they will find a solution to, at least for one, to have Masengeli being jailed, because there's no need of having our constitution if we can't follow it. We can't follow the constitution. we must have some order in our systems.
All right.
So that we can, at least we can have a society where we live in peace and harmony. Yes.
We've seen the way Wakila said, some governors actually are serving their sentences right now. They've been accused after several years of court battles here and there. But I'm looking at this. So where's the dilemma? Eric, law is law, and we have the police boss. So there must be a dilemma. Who is going to arrest him first of all?
I think the issue is not a dilemma of who is going to arrest him, because that is neither here nor there. I think the thing is, you know, sometimes when I look at Masengeli, I get him, you know, he's an important man, just been confirmed the other day. He really is an important man in as far as the country is concerned. And you know, sometimes, if Mohammed refuses to go to the mountain, then it is the prerogative of the mountain to go to Mohammed. So I think the judiciary should have put their house in order and go and look for Masengeli, because he is important. I mean, how else would you put it? If you're summoned 7 times and you're very busy, because the court is not busy, you know, if the court is sitting 7 times, it means the court is not busy. So the court itself should have put its house in order and go and look for Masengeli wherever he is and find out the information from Masengeli himself, because Masengeli is an important man. Now, having said that, and take that with a pinch of salt, I must say that there are prevailing circumstances that warranted Masengeli to be ordered to go to court. And the issue is disappearances of people under police hands. Because sometimes when we look at the context of Masengeli refusing to go to court, we might escape the fact that in the first instance, why is Masengeli being summoned? There are children who have died in the hands of the police, and the court is asking the Inspector General to go and explain the whereabouts of the 3 people. You know, there is nothing, I always say this, in this country, be careful not to be poor in whatever you do. Because when you're poor, you're affected by court orders. When you're poor and there are floods, you're affected by floods. When you're poor and there is hunger, you're affected by famine. In essence, the worst thing that can happen to you in this country is, 1, to lack power, and secondly, to be poor. Now, the mistake that those 3 people made for their lives to be lost was the fact that they were poor and no one knew them. And you can contrast that against a powerful Masengeli who has no time to go to court. Now, the judge did say that they have given him 7 days for him to appear. And I think he did quote something, precedence. You know, Juma had been jailed in South Africa. And he quoted that as precedent. But if I were Masengeli, I wouldn't go. I would give the court the contempt it deserves. Because that court is for poor men. It's for men without power. Why would I go? And so, in my considered opinion, after those 7 days, Masengeli will not appear. I mean, if I'm friends with the president, I sit in the National Security Council, a very powerful institution. Who is a judge to summon me? You tell me, who is a judge? Does a judge sit in the National Security Council? No, he doesn't. Who provides security to the judges? It is the Inspector General who provides security and protection to them. So who needs the other? And so my point is, it is time the mountain went to Mohammed, because there is no possibility of Mohammed going to the mountain.
Okay. I have to admit, the level of sarcasm here is on another level.
And Victor, before you go...
Can we just take a break?
Victor, before you take a break, there is something that the Wakili has spoken to passionately.
David, let's just take a break.
Just a minute. You know, when you say you must and he's going to appear, and we have had these cases. We had the likes of Akina Matiang'i and the other former IG, and this one which is happening. Kinoti was prisoned. Let's leave Matiang'i and others. Kinoti was imprisoned, but he never appeared
Did you listen to what he said?
Has not.
Did you listen to what he said?
The argument.
David, let me just put it this way. The law is created for you and me.
True.
For all of us.
Very true.
The only person at this particular point, perhaps Wakili will tell us, is the president. But thereafter, true, Wakili?
Yep.
But after?
But you need to qualify who is you and me. Because that's where the problem is. When you say the law is created
the law
for
is
you
for
and
everyone.
me.
Let me just put the law, the constitution is for all of us.
But even everyone is not justifiable.
Let's take a break. Let's take a break.
Let's obey for everyone.
Let's obey the law production.
We must define everyone clearly.
We'll be right back with more. Stay with us.
I said let's get to work.
Hey, a little girl, it's a gift for you. You know, respect goes both ways.
If the aim was to let the teacher go quietly, how come there are so many stories about his departure? How come? Something is amiss, eh? Something is amiss.
I can confidently say I have learned nothing, and I am confident it is going to get worse before it gets better.
How about who are you? I am Mr. Fridge. What sort of a stupid name is that? What did you do to piss off your parents like that?
Ile kazi yako ya manager ilikwenda?
Zibendi makuu. Amabeli zimbo bazo down to what?
What is your business here?
Kadronge. Amabeli mbizi bazo.
Ya, wa hiki kitu kidogo mzachukulia nyundo.
Wapi ni ukama?
Unamtagia nini?
Sinataka ende isolve mimi.
Mimi si mtu.
Yeah. Try vitu hapa.
What do you see? Damn side. Arrange. What? I'm resigning.
Contract inasema nini?
Mimi niliona pale pameandikwa paid. Nikajua will be paid. Nikasign. How are you pushing the kiparua?
Mini accountant.
Which calculation are you coming for? This is hotel is mandasi, chapati and mandondo. Hata boiler hamna boiler. Who doesn't have a boiler? Boiler.
Okay. All right, welcome back. Now, allow me to do this in under 20 seconds. Let me take you through the traffic. If you're coming from Thika Road, the traffic along Thika Road is not good. That is what I can tell you from here. Actually, the traffic starts at around Muthaiga Square. It goes back up to around Outer Ring Road. That is bumper to bumper. Both the highway and the express, the service lane and the expressway. The direction heading towards the DCI headquarters is also not so good. That is what I can see from here. If you are coming from Kiambu Road, then be patient or kaa tu kwa traffic ukitulia tu pole pole. That is what I have. Wayaki Way coming all the way from ABC Place, nothing much to report about. The only problem is around Muguga Estate, that's around Safaricom Center as you come into Westlands Roundabout. After that, the entire stretch is moving fine as you head into the CBD. Looking at the Aerodrome Road, just right behind Nyayo National Stadium, it's already bumper to bumper. That is what I have here. But the entire stretch of Mombasa Road, all the way from Capital Center, you can look at that. It's okay. Kila kitu iko sawa. Langata Road today around Airport View Estate, there is a bit of a mess, so be patient, or you can take an alternative route getting through Kibra and ultimately to Ngong Road. You can use that. That's a very good idea to have that bypass. So that's a quick one. I'll take you through the other parts of the city and other towns later on. But now let me come back to the front page of the I want us to skip that issue of Masingeli. And now Gachagua skips Ruto events, fallout deepens. That is what's on the front page of the Star newspaper, the bigger pardon. Gachagua skips Ruto events, fallout deepens. That is what I hear here. Move comes on week of drama after 69 MPs endorsed CS Kithure Kindiki. And now we have the president here. He was in Nyeri, and the deputy president was in India. All of them attended a church function on Sunday. But from what happened yesterday, the deputy president was a no-show, and his seat was there. Again, let me go on the front page of this Daily Nation. Secret deals rock Ruto's regime. Secret deals rock Ruto's regime. Controversial big money deals brokered behind a cloud of secrecy by President William Ruto. Ruto's administration, including Indian conglomerate Adani Group's bid to take over Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, have sparked protests and spawned court cases. Now, with potential dire ramifications for Kenyan taxpayers. That is what is here. Now, why universities and schools are in turmoil, this is something that we've discussed over and over again. And perhaps this is the picture I was talking about. We have got former CS, Moses Kuria, here, and we have the official seat of the DP. It all, quote unquote, sat there. The whole event when the president was in Nyeri, the seat sat there with the president waiting for his deputy, and he was a no-show. So that seat had no occupant. The deputy president was in India. Let me just mark to mention, again on the front page of the Daily Nation, Arsenal won 1-0. Whatever you do, that information is all up to you. Gentlemen, let me come back to the discussion. So we are all here. Let's talk about politics now. I'll come back to the front pages later on. So, David, who is playing who? Number 2 was a no-show at a presidential function. Do you think it was realistic?
Yes, it was realistic because his seat was there empty. So it was very realistic that the deputy president decided intentionally, I think, because this is a team that works together. Deputy president and presidency, they all belong to presidency. And the itinerary of president, I'm very sure, is shared, is privy to the deputy president. If deputy president chooses not to honor an invitation to president's event, then that is intentional. But now let's look at the politics around this issue. What is clear here right now, it seems like Murima has become so slippery. And like my brother said, if Muhammad cannot go to the mountain goes to him. I think the deputy president has been forcing Murima to go to him, and now things have turned around with many legislators choosing to endorse Kithure Kindiki, who is a serving CS to be their political kingpin. It is politics in its own making. It tells you that we are communicating a statement. We do not want to go this direction. Whether good or bad for the region and for the national politics, I think it is, I looked at it and I imagined the situation that was there during President Uhuru Kenyatta and his deputy Ruto. Back then, President Ruto had mastered an act of creating an environment of sympathy, and it worked for him. Deputy President Rigathi right now is trying to create that environment of sympathy, but it isn't working in his favor because he is forcing sympathy down the throat of people who would have sympathized with him. Number 2, every leader who you want them to support you, you need to, at some point, try to indicate some sort of humility. But now we have a deputy president here who every day goes in front of people and telling them, I am the man. I am the deputy president. You must listen, or if you don't listen, that is, I'll tell the ground to divorce you. And so when you threaten leaders and they feel you are threatening them, they will teach you a lesson, which means they will distance themselves from you. You start walking alone, and then you fall into isolation. So what happened in Nyeri yesterday was a true picture of isolation in the office of the deputy president. He's the man walking alone, and that is too dangerous for any politician who wants to achieve something big.
We all know the politics of perception, and that's what politics all meant to do. You create the perception and make sure that it sticks.
But make it right. Don't make the wrong perception. You might create a wrong perception which will work against you. This perception can work for or against you. I've just used an example of Deputy President William Ruto then, who created that perception, and it worked in his favor. And now we have a Deputy President in the name of Rigathi Gachagua today, who is creating that perception but working against him, because he is disconnecting with leaders who could have supported him, attacking them and saying all manner of things are against them. So in their defense, they also choose to fight using the same ground that you are saying you are listening to.
Now there is, let's conclude, so there's no problem between the number one and number two?
There isn't.
Very good. Wakili?
Let me put it this way. Sorry. I'm not sure whether this is the best example. Let me just try it. You see, there used to be an old man in the mountain, who had a family. In the evening, he used to go to the bar to take one or two and comes back home. And he had a wife, a very stable family. The wife, because of the nature of the family, well-to-do, was a bully and used to talk down on people, including the barmaid, where the man used to go and take his drink and come back. So one evening, this old man goes to the bar and come back with a barmaid in the house as his second wife. And therefore, this disgruntled the wife, the first wife in the circumstances. But the children were happy because the bully obviously had been contained. And of course, because there's a new wife, the meals changed and the environment changed. And some were celebrating, but she was constantly in tears, and therefore the first wife stopped accompanying the husband to church and to functions because she was complaining. You know, in court, we deal with divorce matters. The divorce matters are very, very difficult to handle because there's no logic application. It's emotions. We literally argue emotions before court. And the argument eventually ends into something called if the marriage is irretrievably broken or not. So this old man who goes to the bar and comes back in the evening is the president. The wife, inseparably in that union, is the deputy president. But the deputy president used to talk down at Raila Odinga, who eventually comes into the household as a second wife. But he comes down with his children, Joho, Oparanya, and so and so. And the children are celebrating because now there's peace, because the woman is not shouting at them anymore. And therefore, at several functions, the deputy of that family, who is the wife, does not accompany the president to all this show, so she becomes a no-show. Eventually, therefore, we expect Rigathi Gachagua to be a no-show in many of these functions, because it's an emotional meltdown, an emotional breakdown. Is it irretrievably broken, as we will say it in law? I think it's headed there. Because the emotions can't be contained. To contain the emotions of Rigathi Gachagua is very difficult.
Let me also give
and therefore, at times,
yes,
he is going to act unreasonably in protest. So we may rationalize it, but it's a personal emotion in him.
Let me also give it this way. In a family setup, 1 year in marriage is always, for honeymoon and all manner of good things in a marriage.
And the food is good.
And the food is good.
Yes.
Everything in the house is always very good and rosy. But then, you can't tell me that 1 year down the line, the veil is already dropped and you're seeing the other side of your partner.
It happens.
He's the worst man ever, he's the worst woman, he's the worst cook.
We've done divorces after 6 months.
Even 1
yes,
month.
it happens.
Even 1 month.
You can fight the first day.
Okay.
You don't know the guy is snoring. I mean, you can do that. so yes, I can tell you, marriage is difficult, such as this one. The union of presidents, how we did it in the Constitution, this is what we said. If you're a president, you must get married to someone else.
Okay.
A deputy president.
Mark,
and you're inseparable in that union.
Mark, what happened in your marriage after 1 year?
It's true.
Quote and quote.
Marriages can even break even after 1 month.
Yes.
It all depends on how
the foundation
you have started, because that's the time now you start knowing each other.
But ideally, do you think there's a problem?
But I think there is no problem. What is there is a well-crafted plan for the next elections. And this one, they are not even looking at 2027. They are looking at who is going to take over from Ruto in 2032. This plan was crafted a long time ago. You remember, immediately, even after less than 6 months, we started having some MPs from Rift Valley moving around with Ndidi Nyoro, telling people, this is our leader, this is the man to use so that we can reach to the president. And it continued. And you know, in politics, once you notice something is happening against you, you have to find a way of countering that. So what is happening is they are trying to find a way of doing away with the DP. And this plan had to be started early enough so that they can have some time to get the numbers. So the plan of, I think Ndidi Nyoro did not, it was interrupted by the Gen Zs because the president got some two problems. One from the Gen Z and the other one was from the DP. So I think after that time, now they have come up with another plan to front the interior minister. And this one has to continue because you remember even when the president was nominating the DP, most of the youthful MPs were not for the DP, for the current DP. They were rooting for this other guy, Kidiki.
Yes.
So what I'm seeing is a continuation of what they wanted. And you know, in politics, the more things change, the more they remain the same. So I think the president is using the same way the former president used to try to demonize your DP. Maybe to force him to resign. And if he doesn't resign, they can find a way of removing him from the position through impeachment. That's why he had to bring in the ODM and to see whether he can get the numbers. So I think what we have is not a problem. It's a plan. It's a plan, long-term plan for two elections, 2027 and 2030.
So there is, again, the same question I asked David. So there's no problem between number one and number two. All this thing is a political, as you can say, political power play.
No, there's no problem.
Okay.
All this is a political plan. For
Nothing happens by coincidence.
Yeah,
okay, so look at it this way. Eric, before I ask that question, what is your take on that?
Let me put it this way. One, that seat was planted, the empty seat. You know, in politics, visuals are very important. So they knew the deputy president was not coming for the simple reason that the president did send Waigoro, the governor, with 2 million Kenya shillings in the fundraiser where Rigiji was. So they knew for a fact that Rigiji was not coming. Okay, so they knew there was an event happening because I think it was the IEBC church or one of the churches. They were holding centenary celebrations. So they knew the DP was not coming. And therefore, they put the seat deliberately so that the camera could focus and see that the seat was vacant. He was no-show. And you see, in politics, that's very powerful. And the DP had no opportunity to defend himself because it was clear he was a no-show. Because if the seat was not there, the matter would have gone very quiet. You know, people would have just said he did not show up, that's it.
Yeah.
But when the seat is vacant, everyone who is looking and everyone who is following the function, once in a while the media zooms the empty seat and the labeling His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, and everyone can see that that seat is vacant. So I think it was orchestrated that the seat should remain that way. But let me tell you why we are where we are as Murima, because I also come from the mountain. So now there are two mountains now. There is the leeward and the windward side. Now depending on where you are, it's either raining or it's very dry, depending on which side of the mountain you are. But this is what happened in the mountain. So President William Ruto, through our elders in the Kikuyu region, asked us to go for a swim in the river. So we obliged and we went. And because he's very convincing, our elders were the first to follow him. You know, our elders are very powerful in the community. When they tell us things like protecting Odhamaki and stuff like that. So when they got to the river, William convinced them that you cannot swim with clothes. Let us remove our clothes and swim. So what did our elders do? They removed all their clothes, including Rigiji, and they entered into the river. But now, William did not remove his clothes. He stayed at the bank. He said, you proceed. Now when they were inside swimming, William gathered all the clothes. And he said he has gotten an emergency.
I'll be back. Now, the challenge is here. Even though we want to get out of the river, there is a small complication. Because now, you know, the children are somewhere on the riverbed, and it's not possible for the elders to come out now because William has gone with the clothes. So we entered this river without clothes, which is a political party. So William left now with his political party, which is UDA. Now we are in the river, we are naked, we don't have anything. So we have to beg William to be merciful to us. Actually, we now have to beg William to come back and return the clothes. Because as far as now it is, what do we do? So the deputy president has decided to be brave enough and come out the way he is, you know. Sasa, unajua kikiumana, sasa unasema sasa, afadhali kutoka vile uko. And he's receiving a lot of backlash because, you know, it's not a very good sight. But the fact is, as Mlima, that is where we are. We do not have clothes. It is time now to reorganize. Some people have decided to send Kindiki to see whether he can come back and salvage the situation. Why Mlima? Why Mlima? I think I got it wrong. Why Mlima?
No, you see, Mlima, the reason is this. The Mlima, one, is not easily divided when it comes to votes. It's a vote-rich basket, okay? Because if you go to Luya land, once it is time to eat, they all segregate. They say, I'm Bukusu, I'm this, I am that. But in Mlima, Ameru, Akikuyu, Adharaka, all those, the Kikuyu from Muranga and the Kikuyu from Kiambu, it doesn't matter. When it comes to the basket, we all put our votes together and give it in one basket. So what is happening now, as I said, the Mlima now has two sides, the windward and the leeward. You can clearly tell the deputy president is on the leeward side now. It is a dry side. Because now, his influence is neutered. He doesn't have a lot of influence now. You can tell that he is more emotional than strategic. He's always angry. When you ask him who's he's angry over, he doesn't know. And he's walking right into the traps that have been set for him by ostensibly the president and Professor Kindiki. And you see, wanasema mwiba wa kujidunga, hauna pole. So the mess that the deputy president finds himself in is a mess that he himself has participated in creating. Look at the people following him. There is the former MP. Is he a former MP? The lady, Mama Simba. Was she an MP? Waruguru.
Yeah.
Was she an MP? She was nominated CAS, then Gen Z wakapita na CAS. So now she doesn't have anything. The senator for Nyandarua is also following him. And Major Dong. The people following him, remember, were summoned by the DCI as being part of the team that were fomenting and orchestrating the Gen Z protests. Allegedly.
Right.
Including storming into parliament. So a narrative has already been created around those that are following the deputy president. But the mistake that the deputy president is doing is that he's not allowing himself time to digest and receive advice on how he needs to get out of that situation. And I can tell you, it's going to get murkier for him.
Just hold on to that. So let's look at it this way, gentlemen, because a country has to be run, David. Do you think the mountain has a king? He said the mountain, people went to the river to swim, and here we are, no clothes. I don't know what's happening now that it's about, there's a crocodile just down there, and you also have to come back. But in this situation, there is an end game to this. What is the end game?
There must be an end game, and from the look of things, with members of parliament from Mount Kenya region coming together and endorsing Professor Kindiki. And not only that, we see even elders joining in. When I saw the likes of the former Meru governor, Kiraitu Murungi,
the crocodile,
coming out openly and saying, we have supported the Kikuyu side. It is now time they also support the Meru side. So these fellows from Mrima are already strategic. The only fellow who is not very strategic, like my brother says, is the deputy president himself.
Okay.
So to get out of this, there are two things.
What if he's strategic? What if he knows what is happening?
Of course,
he knows.
Every good leader must know what is happening.
He knows what is happening.
He does. He knows what is happening.
There is a difference between knowing and acting on knowledge. So he knows what is happening,
he knows,
but he's unable to act on the knowledge that he has acquired.
So that is my question. What if he knows?
But not necessarily. I think he's strategic. Let me put it this way, and that's my reading. I may be right.
David, you'll come back.
Yes.
Okay.
Look at it this way. The deputy president was not, he did not organize the politics of Mlima during the last elections. They didn't rally around him. So it can be said that he did not deliver the Mlima votes to the president. No, he didn't. He was put there for purposes of symbolism, that we have a deputy president from Mlima. But he didn't organize them, so he was not, the Mlima did not organize themselves behind him. It was basically an agreement of Mlima and the president, all right? Now, when you come to the table, and the reason why he was put there could be twofold. The first one did he have the votes? And number two, what resources are you bringing for purposes of the elections? So either you have the money or you have the numbers.
Yeah.
He didn't have the numbers. Mlima was not his at that time. So he didn't present Mlima as votes, the entire vote basket to the president. Now that has been, opportunity has been expended, we are dealing with what is on the table for everyone. It's politics. So where are the numbers? He didn't have the numbers. He didn't have the numbers in the first place. Whatever he presented for the campaign. But now that we are dealing with numbers of Mlima, because we are projecting elections in 2027, that issue is moot. It is moot because he has to have the numbers. And because he knows his weakest point now is that he doesn't have the numbers, he retreats. Because for me, I need to have a president, but I need to have a president and a deputy president. I have a president, but I don't have a deputy president because constantly, persistently, continuously, he wants to talk about Mlima. So even in his politics, he is disenfranchising some of us as if that he is a president of Mlima, is the deputy president of Mlima alone. So now, when he retreats, the two things, he retreats because he wants to be the spokesperson of Mlima for purposes of getting the clientele base that he needs most, for purpose of a bargain in 2027. When he does that, it can work for him, because if he doesn't, but in the process, he hurts himself politically, because my imaging of him is that he is not the deputy president of the Republic of Kenya.
These are planned by the political think tanks.
He is disenfranchising people in the way he is approaching the politics, but in the process, he is being disenfranchised again by those that are planning against him.
David, I ask a question. What if the whole of this power play is well orchestrated? Not what if, it is orchestrated.
Yes,
but let me put it this way, what if?
Yes, it is well orchestrated, but now the delivery strategy is very poor. Why do I say that? You see, let's assume the strategy in the king of Mrima's mind is I fight, I struggle, I do everything, then I'll tell people, let's form our own party. So who are you forming this party with? Because the problem and the biggest challenge we have, political parties require numbers.
Okay.
They need people who will work with you. And now, from the look of things, you know, I saw the women rep for Kirinyaga speaking very loud, defending Rigiji yesterday. And I wondered if we have the women rep from Kirinyaga, Senator of Kiambu and Nyandarua, and Major Dong, and you say you want to form a political party representing Mrima, and then we have the other 69 who are still fighting you or against you. That is a very poor strategy. So if it is a strategy we are going to use, his is a poor one. He has a plan, but implementing strategy is poor.
Good year. This is a song. 69 was a very good year. He talked about the leeward side and the windward side. So let's take a look at the weather forecast. Which side is the windward and which is the leeward? As we take a break, we'll be right back.
Focus on the DP side. In the weather forecast.
I said let's get to work.
Hey, a little girl, it's a gift for you. You know, respect goes both ways.
If the aim was to let the teacher go quietly, how come there are so many stories about his departure? How come? Something is amiss, eh? Something is amiss.
I can confidently say I have learned nothing, and I am confident it is going to get worse before it gets better.
How about who are you?
I am Mr. Fridge.
What sort of a stupid name is that? What did you do to piss off your parents like that?
Ona ile kazi yako ya manager ilikwenda?
Zipendi makuu, amabeli zimbubazo down to what?
What is your business here?
Kadunge. Amabeli mbizi bazo.
Ya, hii kitu kidogo mmesachukulia nyundo. Wapi ni ukama?
Unamtakia nini?
Sinataka ende isolve mimi.
Mimi si mtu.
Yeah. Try vitu hapa. What do you see? Damn side. Arrange. Once. I'm resigning.
Contract inasema nini?
Mimi niliona pale pameandikwa paid. Nikajua will be paid. Nikasign. How are you pushing the kiparua?
Mini accountant.
Which calculation are you coming for? This hotel is mandasi, chapati and mandondo. Hata boiler hamna boiler. Who doesn't have a boiler? Boiler.
All right, and welcome back. So let's take a look at that story when the president was in Nyeri, at least to give the background of what really happened in Nyeri yesterday. Director, perhaps if you have that story, let's press play.
President William Ruto arrived into the country 6 a.m. on Sunday after completing his 2-day state visit in Berlin, Germany.
Na wakati nilisema ya kwamba tutakuwa na nafasi ya vijana kwenda Kenya, kutoka Kenya kwenda Ujerumani, wengine walisema sisemi ukweli. Lakini Ijumaa walijua kuna mpango.
The commander-in-chief hours later joined a congregation for a church service at the Stewards Revival Pentecostal Church in Nairobi County.
We will not let you down. We are going to change this country. Tumeitoa mahali ilikuwa bei ya unga ilikuwa 200, sasa ni 100. Unasema imefika 90. Na bado tunaisukuma.
President Ruto used the occasion to reveal some of the goodies he came back with from the European nation.
Na tayari nilikiwa kule Ijumaa hiyo, tayari wa Kenya walikuwa washafika wa kufanya kazi. Na isitoshe tarehe 27 ambaye ni kama wiki 2 zijazo, kutakuwa na recruitment ya kwanza ya vijana wa Kenya watakao kwenda kufanya kazi Ujerumani. Sasa tuko na mkataba ambayo vijana wa Kenya wataweza kufanya kazi wakiwa Kenya, kampuni za Ujerumani.
However, leaders accompanying the head of state used the opportunity to urge him to stamp his authority and call to order some of the state officers whom they claim are running amok.
Na sisi wengine tukaitwa hyenas. Unajua wengine tumeitwa barking dogs and you are the dog owner. But I want to tell Your Excellency, take heart. Haya mambo yote, yale majina yote utaitwa, yale matusi yote utatukanwa, just get this country to the shore safe.
All right, there is that bit I wanted where Kimani Ichung'wah said there is a snake, a venomous snake, that is actually that he wanted the president to shed off that venomous snake. From what you are looking at, Mark, let me come back to you now. And from whatever is happening, I'll go to play the other story where the president was in Nyeri yesterday, and the director, if you also have it, you can also put it ready. But then, talk of the president was there, and Kimani Ichung'wah telling the president, take heart. I mean, things are okay. Nothing much is happening. There is, I still repeat, an issue of play victim, but at the same time telling the king, relax, all is well.
Kimani Ichung'wah has a plan, and the plan is to keep on hitting on the DP. The reason why he's telling the president to shut off the snake part is it's to get it to the community that the problem with the government is not the president, is not the MPs. The president is the problem is with the DP. So that's the point Kimani Ichung'wah is trying to drive to the president. And I think the plan is also known to the president himself, because there is no way Ichung'wah can stand and start talking bad about the DP without the blessing of the president. Because there must be a plan, and there must be somebody who is going to rattle the DP. For one, either to push him to the corner so that he can resign, and if he doesn't resign, they still have the plan. They can, I think they can, given the situation, they can raise the numbers. So I think the people I can pity are the Murima people, because there is a plan, and I don't think anybody sees that plan. The plan with the president is him being a student of Moi is to divide Murima, and he's almost succeeding in dividing the Murima, because you have seen now they are focusing on the eastern part of the Murima, that is Meru, Embu, and Tharaka. And the moment they are going to succeed on that, he's going to look elsewhere for the DP. So I think that there are plans to divide the numbers of Murima so that he can now get other people, maybe from Nyanza or Western. And I think that's where the politics is going to be. Yeah.
So the background of this story is, yesterday when the president was in Nyeri, I want to give a background to this. The deputy president did not attend, all right? So he was in there. But as per the protocol, it was the area governor, that is Anwar Iguru, who delivered the president's message and his donation, while the deputy president was there. So at that particular point, their MP, Mr. Macharia, also delivered the president's apology. The deputy president was there. So this actually exposed the deputy president. Let's take a look at what happened in Nyeri.
Hii ni wakati ya kazi. As far as I know, uchaguzi uliisha. Ama iko uchaguzi? The next election is 2027. Nyinyi watu ya Baricho, mlinipatia kura tukiwa na rais. Vile governor amesema kila mtu afanye kazi yake. Rais apewe nafasi afanye kazi yake. Deputy President apewe nafasi afanye kazi yake.
Gachagua, who has been at the epicenter of heavy politicking, with some leaders plotting his impeachment, told off his critics, claiming the masses knew what to do and needed no guidance on who is best suited to lead them, as the development record will speak for itself come 2027.
Kila mtu ako na kazi yake. Wakati ukifika, watu watarudi kwa raia.
The lead.
So what do you make of that, Eric?
Well, I think the deputy president's goose is cooked. And I think he must accept to eat it. Because he's the one that prepared it, you see. If you prepare your bed, so you must be ready to lie on it. I think there's no two way about it. And I like what my colleague has said here. You know, the deputy president's strategy appears to be one of, like the one President William used, where you attract sympathy. But my colleague has said something interesting, that sometimes as an old man, you know, you might go to the market, remove your clothes and start bathing, hoping that people will sympathize with you. But then it becomes a shameful act, and people start asking, what on earth are you trying to do in front of the children and in front of people? And the deputy president must be very careful not to be seeking sympathy, and it backfires and attracts shame. I think for me, if he were to listen, 3 years in politics is a long time. It's actually a very long time.
Yeah.
And you know, sometimes the seat that he has is secured constitutionally unless he is impeached. Now, impeachment will come with a lot of hula-baloo. I don't know whether the president wants to attempt that now. But if I were the deputy president, if you lie low now, and you still go about your mountain activities, you still have a fighting chance. Because the reality is, when it comes to 2027, Mulima will be very important. But if that Mulima which you're seeking to defend now is isolated from you politically, then you will have nothing to put up in 2027, because everything will be gone. You know, sometimes nature can conspire to give you blessings. Even the MPs you see following Kindiki today.
The 69 of them.
69 of them. Tomorrow, Kindiki could make a mistake politically, and they could all disappear from him, and those MPs could be left as orphans. But as deputy president, have you created a conducive environment to reap? Should there be discord? Because you know, sometimes you imagine that there is always discord on your end. But the truth is, when people are eating on the other side, they are likely to fight. Because, you know, sharing loot is not always easy. People will step on each other's toes, and some will decamp. The question is, are you ready to reap when there is discord on the other side? Have you opened your hands to an extent that you can receive from those that will be running away? And the answer is, as of now, no. Because he's fighting everyone. It's like when you give a madman a gun. You know, he shoots everywhere. The essence of a gun is to target. And I think that is where the deputy president is losing the plot. My considered opinion is that if you look at Murima and climbing the Murima, I think the deputy president has a lot of work to do. I think he's not properly geared to climb the mountain himself. He could pray facing it, which is okay, but I do not think he's ready to climb it.
Okay. Okay, look at that. Our topic today is political power play. So we have got the script writers, and there is always a plot in playwright. And now, I would imagine the think tanks and the creatives behind this play, they have a very good, they have an introduction, and there is a body to a play, and now there is a conclusion to the play. Sometimes the antagonist and the protagonist sometimes come to make peace, sometimes they go their separate ways. It depends on how they want to end the play. But then, what do you think they are trying to craft right now as they do this scripting of this political power play that is perhaps is being staged in the Kenyan stage for Mwananchi to see and watch and have that perception that there is bad blood between number one and number two. The mountain is split. But at the end of the script writers, there is something that they really want to achieve, either to end this play in suspense or close it once and for all.
Yeah, I think what is being served to the people is the messaging. Events will happen here and there, but there's the packaging element for purpose of consumption. So what is consumed then gets internalized and then creates a general psyche for the public. It then orients the public into a certain disposition that is supposed to deliver an eventuality. The eventuality being to subdue. Now, I have said here before, and I say it again, the business of politics is to conquer and dominate. If you conquer and dominate, then eventually the sum total of it is you become the king, either the queen, or whatever it is in terms of the competitive environment being subject by the politics of the day. There is a competitive environment now in the orientation of the presidency of this country. The president has to be dominant over the deputy president in as far as Mlima is concerned. The deputy president has to be dominant in Mlima in as far as the competitive politics is concerned, so that then he can serve Mlima upon a certain negotiation on a table. That orientation pits the president into a direct friction with the deputy president in the manner in which the script is being written. The consumption being that there's a disgruntlement in the heart and mind of the deputy president, and therefore does not play the constitutional calling of collective responsibility in the workings of the office of the presidency. The deputy president is the principal assistant of the president in the constitution, at least in law. He is supposed, therefore, to be working collectively under the principle of collective responsibility with the president. He is not supposed to chart his own office and officialdom for purposes of being seen as a man alone. But when he wants to man alone in the circumstances being presented for consumption, is that therefore he is disruptive of the presidency itself, disruptive of environment, disruptive of politics, and again, having brought the Raila Odinga's function into the fold of the government, it will mean eventually, of course, principally it was the Gen Z's protest that brought all that. But the sumptuous, service of the meal before the clientele base, who are the people, who are the voters, will be that this, if it was not for the president, wouldn't have happened. Because in the manner in which first, he is constantly and probably aggressively being seen as a mountain deputy president instead of the country. And therefore he's disenfranchising everyone, and in the mountain he's not getting it right, because even them, it's the fear is they can't walk out of a government now because of the manner in which that will be disastrous for purpose of the survival up to 3 years. Remember, after every election you have to survive into the next.
Yes.
And then at the next, somehow there must be a debate of certain biases. A bias to fill a basket, a bias to get the votes. So the debate will be which is the best bias, which is the most bias for purpose of putting somebody into power. Look, there is very little perception in this country being created that the deputy president can upset the president. That perception is not there. The perception was that Raila Odinga has the ability to upset the president in the next general election. That's really what has been packaged. But that the deputy president can upstage and
allow
upset.
me to bring it. You've mentioned Raila Odinga's name almost 3 times. Why are you bringing the Raila factor in this?
Because
as far as this
Raila Odinga is a very important factor in how he's fixed deputy president in this country. For him to agree to bring his opposition fault into the presidency in the manner which he did was very clever. He has, of course, disgruntled and disenfranchised
but of course,
the
Mountain has got 8 slots.
Yes,
okay.
They remain there. But the relevance and dominance of Mlima, of the deputy president, in the manner in which the broad-based government has been formed, has definitely not given the deputy president the utility of the political utility he used to have. In fact, he has downsized the deputy president comparable to the environment, the political environment he used to exercise at the time before the broad-based government.
Okay.
So yes, Raila Odinga is a bigger factor and remains a bigger factor because he commands a constituency that if he delivers that constituency to William Ruto, hopefully he does, then that completely diminishes the ability of the deputy president, in fact, to have a say in this country in the next general election, on account of the fact that his numbers first is not oriented himself to the numbers, to the kingship that he wants, and number 2, he cannot deliver Mlima, and even if he does, a percentage of the same will not be able to upset
this question goes to all of you. We have 69 MPs. Let me start with you, Mark. 69 members of parliament from the mountain now rallying behind Kithure Kindiki, the CS. What do you think is the intention?
The intention is very clear. Is to have the mountain in the government, and also to find a way of replacing the DP. Because I think the president is using the same card he used during when he was a DP. You remember, he tried to have as many MPs as possible. The number was coming to about 150, and that helped him even to get the votes. You know, in politics, if you can manage to have the leaders on your side, you are very sure that any of those leaders can bring some votes to you. So what the moment the 69 MPs shifted their allegiance to Kindiki, that gives us gives the president the numbers to have the mountain in his government. Yeah.
Okay, the same question to you. So what's in the mind of the script writers to this play? With the 69 MPs now behind Kithure Kindiki, exposing the deputy president.
Their mind is this.
It's a twist.
It's a twist. 2, they want to bring the perception to the DP that you have no numbers. Your people have shifted their legacy to another person. 2, you either work with me or you leave. So they are trying to drive a point to the DP.
Why Kindiki all of a sudden? Because we have got Ndindi Nyoro here and Kimani Ichung'wah, who have been fighting the DP for a very long time. Kithure Kindiki has, it's been quite silent about this. But all of a sudden, the plot of the play and the scriptwriters now dropped Kimani Ichung'wah and Ndindi Nyoro and now picked Kindiki.
You remember their preferred candidate for the DP seat was Kindiki. They voted that time when he was nominating the DP, and their preference was Kindiki. So they are just going back to their preference.
Also, I have something to add. Depending on the season or cycle, anyone could be important. During the budget making process, Ndindi Nyoro is a very important person. Because then as a member of parliament is when you get to factor in your roads, your hospitals, infrastructure, and that is the work of Ndindi Nyoro. Now that dispensation is gone. So now we are in the dispensation of Professor Kindiki. It is, as I said, if you are wise, you follow the bee to the beehive, you are likely to get nectar. And if you follow the leeward side of the mountain now, you are only going to reap the wind. So you're better off following where there is manna from heaven, then the other days can fend for themselves. And that is why I say even now, look at it this way. If I ask my grandfather now, between Kindiki and Rigathi Gachagua, to rate them 1 out of 10 on who they know well, chances are high they know Rigiji more than they know Professor Kithure Kindiki. Why? Because you see, Kindiki has not been very vocal. The only challenge the deputy president has is to convert his popularity, that popularity to become votes. That's where the challenge is. Because I can tell you, 8 out of 10 people in Murima know Rigiji. For Kindiki, it could be 5 out of 10. If you just go to a random person in the village and ask them whether they know Kindiki, they might not give you a lot about Kindiki. But when you ask them about Rigiji, they know some bit about Rigiji. But the challenge with Rigiji is converting that popularity, because you must be known in the first place. Always remember that. You must be known. So how do you convert the popularity to votes in terms of, you can say now, I am delivering this vote basket to so and so. And I think that's where the challenge for the DP is.
So what is the end game in 1 minute?
The end game is to isolate the deputy president, which I think is working pretty well. The end game is to make sure that moving into 2027, the people will realize that it will be put in such a scenario where the president will say, or it will be out there, that the president might want to choose another running mate because Rigiji is becoming a problem. Then people will say, instead of losing it and deputy president is the problem, why don't we give him Kindiki or whoever person, then we can get the deputy president seat. So I think the strategy is to isolate DP.
I still come back to the script writers. David, assume you are part of the script writers, you're on that table, the creatives. What do you think they're trying to achieve with this play?
That assumption is very dangerous. But this is what I would want to think. For starters, before I get to the script, one biggest error Rigiji is doing unfairly to himself is creating an impression that he is equal to the president. You know, every time he speaks, he says, I came here, you voted for me, and then president. So people voted for President William Ruto, like my colleague said, even if President Ruto took Gladys Wanga then and made him his running mate, he would still win because people had made up their mind. But the script here is to make sure we make Rigiji irrelevant by using his own tongue to mess the whole thing. For example,
the sympathy tactic might work for him.
It doesn't. It doesn't, and it won't. Why? Because Rigiji goes to Karatina, and then he says, President Ruto has spoken with Raila. I'm also talking with Uhuru. So he's trying to equate himself to the president, and that is where things became worse for him. And moving forward, even if he wanted, I'm telling you, Rigiji will not survive this one, not unless he borrows what he said. Lie low, stop shouting, pretend like you are foolish, make things well with your team, and then start getting the sympathy.
Now that you've referred to him, he said that he should lie low, or?
Yeah, I said he has 2 options. One, to lie low. The other one is to fight back. I think I would go for the fight back. Because in politics, you have to find a way of coming out of it. Whether you succeed or not, you'll have done your part. Yeah, you have tried. You have tried.
The best man wins.
And also, there is let's not rule out the sympathy vote. Because what Rigiji is doing is the same script Deputy President did. And we don't know. 3 years in an election it's a long time. Who knows? Maybe people in future will go back to him.
Or fight back. Do you still hold that, Wakili?
I think there is what you call a political characterization.
Yes.
He is creating a character of his own.
That's another good part of the play. I
like
that.
So let him be constant with the character, because that's the consumption we have of who he is. He said this country has shareholders. Maybe he was right or not. Let him continue with the characterization that he's put himself in. And the beauty is, he may sync with that character now, but politics doesn't end in 2027. It supersedes 2027. So he has a fighting chance eventually if Mlima come to terms that he is probably the option we have.
Okay.
Because if he changes his character now, he was a dog, then now becomes a cat, then we won't understand him, and he becomes probably a watermelon.
Thank you.
But the point is, let him continue with his character. He doesn't have to be president now. It has to be anywhere, but eventually he may get it probably 40 years to come.
You know the good thing about politics in this country? The good thing about politics in this country, every single day, there is something new to talk about. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your valid opinion on this particular, because we really had to talk about it either way and see what really happens. I'm talking about David Alulu, who is a political governance and analyst as well. Wakili, joining us on the show, George Keith, he is a Wakili advocate of the High Court. Mark Ndigo is a political analyst and governance expert, as well as Eric Buturi Wadudi joining us on the show. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your company. You're also a mountain climber. Get some good boots. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, I'll be back later on, and let's talk about the issue of cultivating peace in the country. I'll be talking to Reverend Samuel Kobia, who is the chair of NCIC, as well as Dr. Dan N. Odaba, who is a director, Southern Africa Institute for Economics and Peace in Kenya. Let's take a break. GMK continues after this. Good morning.
Thank you for joining us on Healthy Living. Stay connected to Voice of America at voanews.com. A look at your kidneys and how they impact your health. And an expert discusses chronic kidney disease and how to protect yourself. And Ivorian psychologist Noor Bakayoko shares some insights on bullying and what can be done.
It's important to avoid major events or major health crises.
How do you know if your cough is due to a serious condition? We'll have some answers. Stay well
and strive to make every day a healthy day.
Friday night again.
Greetings in the name of the Most High Jah Rastafari. My good name is Marley Moses, the Positive Warrior, alongside.
Yes, sir, DJ D-Rage, the baddest. Each and every Wednesday from 10 p.m. on KBC Channel 1 TV.
Tunakuletea the biggest reggae party in 254 in a yard extra. Extra niceness of reggae music.
Extra dose of entertainment.
When the thing is nice,
we have to do it twice.
Nahashon Kanye Waithaka was an influential figure, especially in the 1970s and early 1980s, when he was mayor in his hometown of Nyeri, the administrative headquarters of Central Province. Born in 1936 in Tetu, Nyeru district, Nahashon Kanye trained as a primary school teacher and taught at Kaigonde Primary School in Tetu. He rose to become the headmaster before resigning to join the Kenya prisons as a correction officer in 1978. After a short while, he resigned from the Kenya prison, citing frustrations from senior officers, and founded his own trading company in Nyeri, which mainly dealt in farm inputs and animal feeds. Nahashon Kanye joined civic politics in 1974 and was elected to represent Mount Kenya ward in the Municipal Council of Nyeri, eventually winning the mayoral seat. In 1981, he vied but lost in a Nyeri constituency by-election occasioned by the imprisonment of MP Waruru Kanje, who was also Minister for Constitutional Affairs. In 1988, President Moi picked Nahashin Kanye to contest the newly created Tetu constituency seat, carved out of the larger Nyeri alongside Nyeri Town and Kieni during the boundaries review exercise. In 1990, Nahashin Kanye was appointed the Minister of State in charge of internal security, but the following year he was transferred to the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting. When former Vice President Mwai Kibaki resigned and founded the Democratic Party of Kenya, DP, the political landscape in the entire country, including Nyeri, changed. At the same time, the ethnic clashes in Rift Valley preceding 1992 elections affected Nahashin Kanye's popularity at home, as he was at the helm of the Ministry of Internal Security. The clashes mainly affected the Kikuyu community, which blamed Kanye for not protecting them against the onslaught. His friends and supporters deserted him and boycotted his campaign meetings, eventually shunning him and fellow pro-Moi contestants in the 1992 polls. In 1994, Nahashin Kanye relocated to the U.S. with his wife. He died in July 2017.
Welcome back. This is Good Morning Kenya. Thank you for staying with us. My name is Vivian Ndegwa, and right now we get into a different segment right here on the show. And right now we will be talking about securing the digital economy and strategic interventions. And joining me for this particular conversation are cybersecurity professionals. On my immediate left, we have Orifa W. Peter. He is the cybersecurity and AI specialist, CyberPro Global. And then on my far left, we have Dr. David Njoga, and he is the head of cybersecurity policy, strategy, and standards. Welcome to the program, gentlemen.
Thank you.
All right. For the purpose of this conversation, if we may just begin by introducing what digital economy is. When we talk about the digital economy, what exactly are we looking at? Maybe if I may start with you.
Thank you very much. Digital economy, with a brief introduction. Digital economy is generally an economic activity that results from the billions of everyday online transactions, connections among the people or business or even devices and data and processes. In general terms, that is what we rate as a digital economy.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And as it is, right now, what are some of the most significant cybersecurity threats that are affecting the digital economy?
If I could just mention what the landscape looks like, we are seeing a lot of digitization of critical services in the critical sectors.
Yeah.
And that is really what is composing the digital economy. In Kenya, for example, we are seeing dependence on critical services from utilities, healthcare, financial, and so on and so forth, including government services.
Yeah.
So then the process of digitizing digitalization of the same is really what creates the digital economy. Now, that means that the digital data that is being captured in the systems become a target by many state and non-state actors. From where we sit, from the National Computer and Cyber Crimes Coordination Committee, we see a lot of people interested in destroying the integrity of the data that is captured in the digital economy systems, as well as disrupting critical infrastructure that the citizens so depend on. So we look at one common threat is what we commonly call the distributed denial of service, like the one that we suffered from last year during the e-citizens disruption. Yeah. We also see a lot of capture of our digital platforms through ransomware attacks. This is where we see various interested criminals just wanting to get hold of critical data or database systems of organizations and demand ransom, which indeed is really criminal, but it's quite in a way disrupting the operations of such entities. So those are actually the key threats to the digital economy, because they disrupt the systems and they also compromise the digital trust that the consumers so wish to have. Yeah. Yeah, from the threats that Dr. David has just mentioned, maybe Peter, if you can just tell us how to go about, building strong cybersecurity defenses so that we are able to mitigate such challenges.
Thank you very much. The threats are very key, and we have to be proactive, cyber security, and ensure that we are secured. And this is it's an all-round event that need to be done from the business or from the employees or employers or the institutions. There must be a proactive and ensure that the business and institutions, millions of dollars, are well secured. And how is this achieved? Yeah. One, through ensuring that there is a well gap bridged between the skill gap that we have currently in the country or worldwide, that needs to be bridged for the cybersecurity experts or specialists by ensuring that there's a proper trainings onto these, as well as also we must have digitized government. It all goes around within the government itself. The collaborations with the government and the institutions, or even the private sectors, government and private sector collaborations, bridges the gap of skills experts within the industry, and that will definitely ensure that the security of our cyberspace is ensured.
Yeah. So as it is at the moment, we don't have enough skilled cybersecurity professionals, do we?
At the moment, the skills is still low compared to the ISO standards that is required. It's still low. And this gap needs to be bridged, and that is why the private institutions like the CyberPro collaborates with the higher learning institutions to create this gap by ensuring that there is an industry best practice trainings that is done for professionals to come out, because you find out that students come out from universities. They are trained in ICT, but you still find that there's no that bridging of the gap from the industry level, because what we get from the universities is not what is within the industry. So there must be a skill gap that is ensuring that the industry best practice is achieved. And this can only be achieved by most of the practicals and the studies in the research, so that to ensure that whatever is in the industry is what the gap or the skills is being delivered. Yeah.
All right. Maybe getting it from your end, being that you work with the government, what is the government doing, in ensuring that they are working together, maybe with the private sector or the private institutions, to just ensure that we get to bridge this gap, whereby we have enough skilled professionals on this particular matter, that is cybersecurity?
Yeah, you are aware that the government of Kenya has a deliberate intervention, approach of the digital superhighway and the creative economy, which is a key pillar in the bottom-up economic transformation agenda. Yeah. And that creates a very large digital footprint. So that, if you look at our ecosystem as it is in Kenya, we have a lot of connectivity. Actually, Kenya is one of the, I think, the second country in Africa in terms of connectivity up to the last mile. Now, that means that we really have to invest in skills to be able to manage these platforms, to secure them, as well as to enjoy the digital services that are so provided. So what we are doing at National Computer Cyber Crimes Coordination Committee, one of the pillars in our strategy is actually capacity and capability building. And this is the third year of our strategy, and we have had a lot of interventions. One is including development of the National Cybersecurity Training Guide, which is supposed to articulate what our workforce requirements are, and therefore the other members of the Kenyan ecosystem can plug into those various training skills requirements. The other one is about collaboration with the training institutions. We notice that we have a lot of skills being churned from higher institutions of higher learning, but that is not fit for the industry. Therefore, we are currently championing development of short professional courses, which are a quick fix to the much demanded cybersecurity workforce. And I think we have been able to work with a lot of private sector as well as academia into this. And one of the current collaborations we have is with CyberPro, which is actually launching a few cybersecurity professional courses that's going to fit the ecosystem. So we are also encouraging a lot of research and innovation so that we have really Kenyan cybersecurity solutions, including domesticated training packages to deal with our Kenyan cybersecurity challenges.
All right. Maybe to you, Mr. Peter, what are the best practices for ensuring data privacy, especially in this digital world where it is highly, dependent on data sharing rather?
Thank you. Before I move to the best practices, just to add on the skill gap. Currently, most institutions nowadays, they don't have a question of where or how the data is going to, well, the cybersecurity threats is going to happen, but the question is when. So definitely it is something that now we live within us, that we know that this is there, it is within us, but it is when. And when is this? Do we have prepared a team that can really achieve this kind of when we are hit by the cybersecurity? Thank you. And we also find that globally, it says that cybersecurity experts are still not available, both in the business and even in the professionals. Back to your question, the cybersecurity standards, these are built within the ISO standards of 2007. With the best practice in terms of ensuring that the data is at rest with implementation of the CIA, that is the availability, the integrity, and the consistency of the data itself. So the standards are set within the COVID standards that helps, it's an international ISO standards that sets within for the data security.
Okay. All right. You've talked about the international standards, that's the ISO. Maybe to you, Dr. David, we have the Constitution, Article 31 on the Data Act in Kenya. If you can just get us into that, what regulations are there when it comes to matters, the digital platforms?
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Digital platforms, like I mentioned, really it's about the connectivities and the use of the digital technologies therein. So that creates what we normally refer to basically as the objectives of information security, which is maintaining confidentiality of data, maintaining integrity as well as availability of data. Therefore, Kenya as it is currently, and NC4 where I am, we are the coordination framework for this, and we actually, NC4 is a team, is a committee of various key stakeholders from government and private sector, chaired by the Principal Secretary, Mayor State Department of for Internal Security and National Administration. So we incorporate various entities, and therefore there are various laws by various institutions which now are used to manage this cyberspace. One of which is the Computer Misuse Cybercrimes Act, Chapter 79C, Laws of Kenya, which was enacted in 2018, and that is what has created the various offences, what has established the various offences, and the mechanisms for responding to cyber incidents, as well as investigating and punishing cyber criminals. We also have the Data Protection Act, which you referred to, which actually complements the Computer Misuse Cybercrimes Act, because it is particularly talking about data privacy. There are also other laws, including the Kenya Information Communications Act, and many others. So all these combinations, again, look at also the other laws by various institutions, like the National Police Service, the ones from prosecution and so on. It brings in a conglomeration of all the activities that we need to do in terms of preventing cyber threats, identification, response, as well as even prosecution of various criminals. So we have various laws and regulations. And the last regulation, the latest regulations that were enacted this year is what we call the Computer Misuse and Cybercrimes, Critical Information Infrastructure and Cybercrimes Management Regulations 2024, which now unbundles the requirements for complying with the various activities that will make sure that we protect our digital systems.
Mr. Peter, do you feel there's more that should be done, matters regulation, in the country?
There is a lot that needs to be done. And definitely, as my colleague has said here, there need to be enforcements of this, the NC4, to be composed or to be built as a body, as an institution that regulates the cybersecurity. Because, for instance, right now, I don't know how a lawyer will easily handle a cybersecurity incident or a case that is before the court, because the regulations are still not yet set, because this person has just told on the space. There is no set regulations that guides us how to remand this person that has just done a cybercrime within the space. So there is need for more to be done for the laws, and even, for instance, we also talked about how do we even tax the digital economy. For the government itself to earn more revenues on this. There must be some guidelines or some rules that will help us even to tax this kind of digital economy, because as per the current president, the bottom-up agenda is more on the digital space. But how are we going to add value, or how is it going to be more valuable to the government in terms of even earning tax? Because we still do not even have a regulation that tax the digital space, for instance. So there's a lot that needs to be done by the digital government, and we also need to have a digital business and the infrastructure. The current infrastructures still do not handle our digital space. So there still need more to be done. And this can only be achieved by the collaborations of the governments and the private sectors together.
So you do agree that frameworks should be put in place on emerging technologies, because we now have AI. Do we have, frameworks that have been put in place, on matters AI as well, right? AI is, I would say that AI has been there for many years, and a lot of systems that we have been using actually based on AI. What challenge we have, and not only in Kenya, these are global, is that technology is really moving very fast, and AI is actually moving faster than any other person's imagination. So what Kenya is doing, just like the rest of the world, is that we're actually looking at how do we encourage professional use of AI, because that's the best that we can do. In a normal setup, we cannot regulate technology.
but we can't regulate the proper use of that technology. So as we speak now, there are a lot of initiatives that are ongoing from the professional bodies, from government in terms of policies and frameworks for promoting ethical use of AI. And I think within the next few months, we'll be seeing national frameworks that will support that effort being launched from the leadership, from the top leadership.
Mm-hmm. When we talk about the digital economy, we cannot escape, speaking about remote work, because now it is a way of people earning a living right now, even in the country. Most people are actually earning their living through remote work. So what is the future of remote work in the country, and how best should we approach it in order for more people to benefit from it? Either of you can take that.
Thank you. This will go in line with the innovation. Mm-hmm. There must be a great and a robust driven innovation entrepreneurship to help promote the working at home or remote work. That is how you put it. Yeah. In terms of digital skills, because for us to achieve this, again, we must have a lot of innovations, systems that are in place to help us this. And how do we achieve this? I go back to my 4 agendas, that is the digital government, digital business, and infrastructure. We must have a proper infrastructure to help us achieve this, because that is how everything is going. Soon we are going to have remote branches, remote virtual branch, virtual offices, which currently we do have in this space. And to achieve this, we must have a proper infrastructure, the connectivities, the availabilities of the internet connections, the accessibility of all kind of resources that needs for purpose of working at home. Because generally, working at home or remote work means that you're not stationed to one place. Yeah. You can find a solution or give a solution to anywhere. Even in the medical practitioners, it's still possible, but we need to have an infrastructure, and that is the best way that we need to go to. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. Maybe how can risks be managed in these emerging technologies?
Emerging technologies bring a lot of risks because one, they are new just from that concept, and therefore it means that criminals are able to take advantage of some of the unknown vulnerabilities in these platforms. So it's really, then it also catches the professionals unaware because people have to really rapidly upscale. So the quick interventions to this one is a very vibrant and proactive research and innovation to understand these technologies, adopt them within our ecosystems, and customize them so that we are able to utilize them well. Secondly is to proactively and continuously look at the vulnerabilities within these platforms and be able to mitigate them in good time before they're really compromised. The other one is to really look at the best practices globally and see how best as a country we are able to build our workforce which can fit within the existing frameworks so that we can manage the challenges that come with these emerging technologies, which are just around security, compromising confidentiality, integrity, and availability of data and systems.
Yeah. And how do you think that digital currencies, impact the security landscape of the digital economy? And when I'm talking about digital currencies, I'm looking at things like, cryptocurrency and so on. Yeah. How do they impact?
Just to jog our memory, this happened sometimes back in our country when this team came, and I think it went to the parliament, and it was a big issue on how. But just aside, the digital currency impacts on our economy and positively because one, we find that the interconnections or trading in other countries, it makes it more seamless, more easy compared to before, where we didn't have a situation where we have a digital currency. For instance, in cryptocurrencies, the tradings that we do online help us. I can easily have download my crypto coins here and trade with them, and later I get returns in Kenyan shillings. So it really helps in terms of interrelations within the continents and even the worldwide economy, because we are looking ourselves into soon having a singular currency, because once we embrace the digital platform and cryptocurrency, then the next thing is, why do we have different currencies here and there that are trying to trade from here and there? So by the end of the day, it's going to be a unified trading, which will improve even the GDP for other countries, or even for our country, for instance. Yeah.
So Vivian, maybe just to add something, on the flip side of it, he has focused on the positives of the cryptocurrency. Mine from the national security perspective, because I normally say that cybersecurity is national security.
It is.
Now, cybersecurity, of course, creates a platform for positive use of the digital platforms, but we also see people using the digital platforms for negative uses. We have the commonly called platform that is referred to as the dark web. The dark web is where people do all sorts of criminal activities, from child trafficking, drug trafficking, all illicit kind of trade. And the only single currency used to trade in the dark web is the digital currencies. Therefore, from security perspective, which was your question, I think it raises a lot of concerns, and therefore we need to look at the motivation for use of cryptocurrencies in those criminal activities, which is based on anonymity. So unless anonymity can be well addressed, then I think we should really have a way of regulating the use of digital currencies.
All right, as we almost come to a close of this conversation, maybe my last question would be on the steps that different organizations should take in ensuring their cyber resilience.
There needs to be a lot of engagement and a lot of awareness in cybersecurity. And I think this needs to involve the government and even the private sectors collaborating together with the learning institutions. And this is what CyberPro is currently doing by organizing a Cyber Week, a conference that brings the cyber experts together. This is a conference that is going to be held in the University of Nairobi. For the information of the viewers and listeners, there will be a conference, Cyber Week conference, that to be held on 23rd to 27th of this month at the University of Nairobi. This has been organized by the government entities and the private sectors coming together, and the government entities here includes the NC4, or where my brother sits from. We also have the KSG, Kenya School of Government, also as a collaborator, and the University of Nairobi as the host of this conference, including the CyberPro as the organizers from the private sectors. We also involve Embassy of Israel, just to make it have a worldwide image, so that we bring in, being Israel is one of the best in the industry, so we bring in more innovations and knowledge from the best, among the best. So this is what needs to be done, and it's something that's going to happen annually, so that we try to bridge the gap of cybersecurity skill gap, and also awareness trainings to the institution, so that we find ourselves in the space.
Okay. All right. Your parting shot, sir.
Thank you. From where we sit, because our mandate under Section 4 of the National Computer Cybercrimes Act is that we need to have a robust secure and resilient cyberspace for the people of Kenya to support the digital transformation. So some of the strategic interventions at NC4 so that we can build digital trust, because that's a problem, that's a concern of many stakeholders, one is to have a very robust and protected critical information infrastructure. Also, we need to have, the other intervention is elaborate capacity and capability building so that we can have skills and solutions for our ecosystem. Dealing with cybercrimes ruthlessly, because that is a deterrent to enjoying the fruits of the digital services, as well as collaboration and cooperation. And as a country, we are actually towards the end stage of being part of the Malabo Convention, that's the African Union Convention on Cybercrimes and Digital Data Privacy, as well as the Malabo Convention. That is really going to enhance our global cooperation and collaboration. We are also keen into incident response, as well as having a very robust legal frameworks to support the activities of cybersecurity. So we see various interventions, both from the strategic level all the way up to the operational level within every organization. And one of the things that we have done and we are keen on is to have an improved national cybersecurity situational awareness, and this is going to be achieved through having reporting and monitoring of our cyberspace from the critical infrastructure owners to the various sectors up to the national, and this is going to be achieved through the cybersecurity operational centers which are being implemented.
Okay, thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us on this topic of securing the digital economy. And this is where we end it right now. But don't you go too far. Victor Olo will be back with a conversation on cultivating a culture of peace in Kenya. But before that, let's get the weather updates.
Are you a talented artist? Or are you passionate about a topic you want to discuss? But money can be very hard to find for an upcoming artist. Don't worry, Studio Mashinani has got your back. Sign up on ajira.co.ke to book a session with your music and video producers across the country. Work on your music, jingles, spoken words, and even podcasts to realize your dream. All for free. Studio Mashinani, Radani Talent.
Technology has become a crucial part of our society. Without technological advancements, so much of our everyday lives would be drastically different. As technology develops, it strives to fulfill the changing needs of society. This means that technology exists to help us achieve the things that we wouldn't be able to achieve without it. Take on Tech looks at the advantages and downside of technological innovation in a world that is becoming increasingly dependent on new digital technologies. Every Monday at 10:30 p.m.
John Cheruiyot's education journey ended after completing his A-level examination at Kakamega High School in 1971, where he was a loyal member of the Christian Union. His journey in politics would begin when the late Ezekiel Baringetuni, the then Nandi kingpin, would recommend him to replace the then National Assembly Speaker Samuel Arap Ngeni, who appeared to have had a fallout with the government. Cheruiyot had an added advantage as he was the son of Ezekiel Birek, the head of the African Inland Church, where the late President Moi was an ardent worshipper. This would expose him to the field of politics from business, and in 1988 he was elected Aldai Member of Parliament through the infamous Mlolongo political system. Unknown to many, Cheruiyot became the minister after his Tinderet counterpart was sacked hardly 9 months after assuming office as Minister for Commerce. Cheruiyot would go ahead to serve as minister for 4 years from 1988 to 1992. At that time, the Commissioner for Cooperatives, Raymond Bomet, had more political clout than the minister. In many instances, Bomet executed his mandate without consulting him, with serious implications in some instances. Bomet, who enjoyed unfettered access to the then president, could make decisions like dissolving cooperative boards without informing the minister. It was during Cheruiyot's tenure that several cooperative societies and unions went under, largely due to undue political pressure. In 1992, he lost his Aldai parliamentary obscurity. In 2015, a Nairobi court jailed him for 6 years for failing to pay a 20-year-old outstanding debt of 2 million shillings, of which 1.6 million shillings was interest. He successfully appealed and the jail term was suspended. Today, Cheruiyot's presence is felt more in nostalgic reminiscence than in the political arena. He would retreat to his family farm after departing from the murky political landscape to a quiet life after a journey that was marked by both triumph and tribulations. Jackie Wambiru, The Cabinet.
And welcome back. Now let's talk about matters to do with peace. How much do you cultivate peace in your own ecosystem? How much of peace do you cultivate, and do you really need peace? I believe everyone. Though I know there's somebody who said that they don't want peace, they want problems. But hey, in Kenya, we want peace. And that is why at this particular point, I want to talk about the issue of peace and how we can cultivate it as a nation. And there is an important day coming up, International Day of Peace, that will be celebrated on 21st of this month. And I'm going to tell you where and how you can also get to participate on that particular event. On set, I'm joined by Dr. Dan N. Odaba, who is the Director, Southern Africa Institute for Economics and Peace in Kenya. Dr. welcome to the program.
Thank you.
And he's no stranger to in Jerusalem. That is, now you have him. Director, I wanted to introduce him first. He's no stranger to Jerusalem. That is Reverend Dr. Samuel Kobia, who is NCIC Chairman. Welcome, Dr.
Thank you very much.
I start first of all, I want to start, there is no peace between me and you. It's been a long time since you came on this set. So there's no peace between me and you.
That's why I'm here today.
I choose chaos,
to make peace. You know, I've come to make peace. So that's what we are there to do, and that's what I've done today.
No. You don't confuse me very well.
Right.
An International Day coming up very, very soon. That will be this coming weekend.
Exactly.
A very important day in our calendar. Let me start with you, Dr. How important is this day, first of all? International Day of Peace. And how important is it, generally?
Thank you very much. It's very important for us to know that this is the 25th anniversary since the United Nations Security Council declared 21st of September as a day to mark the International Day of Peace, where countries try to look at how best they have done in terms of peace building where they have gone wrong, how they can improve moving forward, solving conflict. And also, just to add one more thing, that where would you tell Reverend Dr. Kobia that there's no peace between you and him?
Yeah.
Sometimes it's good to have conflict. Sometimes people look at conflict only negative, but sometimes conflict has positive effects. So sometimes don't look at conflict in totality as negativity. Sometimes we get positive things out of conflict, so don't look at it only as a negative thing.
Yeah, so sometimes conflict is good, it keeps us going.
Yes, because
so
you
you
can
agree that between me and Dr. there should be some conflict, just a bit.
I didn't say so.
Okay, quote unquote. Dr. It's an important day, and Kenya is looking towards that. But is Kenya peaceful, even as we gear towards that important day in our calendar?
Well, comparatively, Kenya is peaceful. Actually, we are going through a period where we can say, when you compare what is happening in Kenya and the neighboring countries, we are comparatively peaceful. Secondly, there are obviously challenges that we have, but Kenyans would like, where there is no peace, really to be peaceful. And that is why, as NCIC, very often we are invited by people in the communities where peace has been disturbed, which means that Kenyans, really like it to have peace. And therefore, I would say generally we are peaceful, but one would say perhaps it's a negative peace. Because we know that there are underlying currents that make Kenyans a bit uncomfortable in the situation in which we are, not least of all because of the challenges of economic challenges, political challenges, because Kenya is a country, we love our politics to the extent that sometimes we do it at the expense of even development and sometimes even at the expense of peace.
Yeah. Your desk must be so busy right now, Dr. I would imagine waking up each and every morning and your sole mandate is to make Kenyans to be peaceful. How busy are you?
We are a research organization that we do research, training and consulting. We share our data-driven research to United Nations organizations, multinational organizations, governments, peace-building organizations, partner with like-minded organizations to help them use our research to incorporate what we call a positive peace framework, that we address attitudes, institutions, and structures that not only create but also sustain peaceful societies. And this is because of research. This is research-based. And sometimes it's good when you use research evidence to make an informed programming decision to be able to have an impactful results in terms of peace building. So this is what happens every day. And also we share our data with academic institutions in terms of incorporating our research into university courses, whereby people who are doing courses in terms of peace and conflict studies, they are able to use our research, which is evidence-based, to be able to have an informed programming activities in peace building.
Actually, there's a very thin line between his desk and your desk. That keeps it so busy. What keeps you awake at night? Even, you're awake at night, but in the morning you wake up, your sole mandate also as a chair of NCIC is to make sure that we are peaceful. You must be a busy man.
Yes, certainly when you deal with an important aspect of life, like peace, and when you know that peace has been either disturbed or even denied to a community, that really disturbs me. And what then motivates me is also when Kenyans sometimes reach out to us as NCIC and say, can you help us in resolving conflict that we have so that it doesn't degenerate into conflict. And so peaceful resolution of conflicts, which is an instrument that I would say that in Kenya today, there are many organizations that are involved in in peaceful resolution of conflicts, not least of all what Dan is involved in. And that, as you say, there is a thin line between us, because we like to work on ground, on a well-researched issue, so that when we decide now to have a project, we have a project which is based on concrete, facts. And therefore, we certainly should be working, and we are going to be working very closely, particularly when it comes to research in, for example, social cohesion index, which we are involved in as NCIC. We want by the end, certainly it might not be possible to have the National Social Cohesion Index before the end of the year. But the last time we had a National Cohesion Index was 2013. So we are already, 2014, so 10 years ago. So we want to work on that, and we are going to work very closely with the Institute so that we know that our work is based on facts that have been generated scientifically.
Yes. Just to add on what he's saying also is that the Institute for Economic and Peace for Information is a global think tank. The world's leading that will produce the Global Peace Index. For the last 12 years now, we have been producing the Global Peace Index. There's no other organization across the globe that produces a Global Peace Index, whereby our index is 97.7% of the world's population is ranked according to their peacefulness. And we give indicators as to why this country is peaceful than these other countries. So we rank 163 countries according to their level of peacefulness. So I can tell you which is the most peaceful country in the world and which is the least peaceful country in the world.
Where are we in that index?
And why? Yes.
How why?
And why? Whereby we use statistics analysis to analyze specific data and data sets to be able to rank different countries, and we can be able to tell you now, this is Kenya, you are at this number. And this why you are being ranked at this number. For you to improve on this number, you have to do ABCD. So we give you evidence-based research to show you that a country can improve in, let's say, education, it can improve in low levels of corruption, it can improve in having respect of rights of others, it can improve in terms of having good relations with neighbors. So when you do another ranking the next year, you'll find that the country's ranking will go higher. And that's how countries develop based on our evidence-based research.
I get that. So I like the theme of this year, cultivating a culture of peace. How did you come with this theme, Dr.
No, this theme is the United Nations that comes with the theme for the year, and so each country therefore adopts that theme. And for us as NCSC, in fact, this was very welcome because we have actually been on a trajectory of cultivating a culture of peace. And so for us, we embrace this theme, and as we go to West Pokot on 21st of September, which is Saturday for this year, we are really looking at what we have done towards building or cultivating a culture of peace in that area. And I must say that for us as NCIC, we were very impressed by the people of West Pokot when they invited us to now have or mark the International Day of Peace 2024 in West Pokot. Because they said, look, once you mentioned the word West Pokot, what comes is cattle rustling, etc. So they said, we want the Kenyans to know that actually we have made a tremendous progress in having a peace in West Pokot. And therefore, that is what we wanted to do, to use that day so that Kenyans will know where West Pokot is when it comes to peace.
How would you use, because I like the choice of venue as well to celebrate this particular event, but how would you translate that to the rest of the country? Because I like what you've said. You know, when you think of West Pokot, you think of chaos, cattle rustling, you think of, you know, men in blue with their boots on the ground every Monday to Friday. Yeah. But how are you going to translate that as a litmus test to spread the gospel of peace across the country? That, hey, you know, we were in the West Pokot and this is what we received. So even you in Nairobi, you in Machakos, or any part of the country, this is what you can also emulate. Right. Before I come to you, Dr.
And that is where you become critically important here as the people of the media. Because it is through media, you know, radio, TV, print media, that we are going to make all Kenyans to know that this is what is happening in West Pokot. In fact, as many as 5 counties will be represented by their governors on the 21st of September. That means that all the counties in that region, the upper Rift, you know, will be participating, which means that this will be known by the people of those counties. But not only that, we actually want now media to take it up, because although the actual venue for the marking or commemorating the day is in West Pokot, we are going to have it commemorated in other parts of Kenya in a smaller way, but the message that we are going to have in West Pokot will be transmitted to all Kenyans. Yeah. And actually we are inviting all Kenyans to on the 21st of September to mark this day using what the United Nations have done in having cultivating a culture of peace. Now we adopt that in Kenya. How do we cultivate a culture of peace? How do you participate in it? And why is it important in our national life and in our lives in the communities?
That through your research, how are we faring globally in terms, how does the international community see Kenya when you put us in that global optics, and then we want to see Kenya in terms of how we maintain peace, how we cultivate it, how we talk about it, and how we sustain it?
Kenya is better off in the sub-Saharan Africa. Kenya is better off than many countries within the region. You have seen, look at the neighbors that Kenya has and what is happening to them. If you get an opportunity to look at the latest Global Peace Index that we released in June this year, you realize that some of our neighbors are leading from bottom in terms of peacefulness. We are right somewhere in the middle, but we have a long way to go to get up to keep up with countries like the Scandinavians, like the Iceland, which are topping the list. And there are so many indicators. So the international community looks at our country as a catalyst to peace in the region. And that is why it's very important for us to have this attitude to cultivate the culture of peace in our communities, right from the younger generation to the older generation, to be able to have what we call a cohesive society, whereby peaceful coexistence is going to be sustained by all means possible. Yes.
And that's why, Dr. Now we have the issue of transgenerational conversation. What does it really contain, or what is it all about? I mean, in as far as this day is concerned.
Now, because we are talking of cultivating a culture of peace, we needed to see how, you know, in Kenya, our history as far as building peace is concerned. And what we have done is to show that each generation since the advent of colonialism in Kenya, each generation at the age where Gen Z are today did their part in either resisting oppression or struggling against colonialism and all what it meant. And in fact, when we look at you know, the earlier generations, we see that resisting the British colonialism from taking our land, because this is what eventually led to the Mau Mau War of Liberation, or one of the oldest communities' involvement in resisting colonialism is the Kavirondo Youth Association, way back in 1920s, and which resisted the heart tax. Because, what heart tax means is that a man was taxed according to the number of wives you have. And each wife has a heart. And that heart is what was used. And people resisted that. Yes. As way back as 1922. And then we see how Kikuyu Youth Association, eventually leading to KAU, Kenya African Union, and eventually leading to Mau Mau. So this trajectory that leans to what we could call the first liberation, which when we attained independence in 1963, who participated in that? So we want that to be known by other generations. Then we come to a situation where we had a one-party dictatorship. Yeah. And there was resistance, there was a struggle to multi-partyism in which our generation, my generation, baby boomers, and myself particularly, I was General Secretary of the National Council of Churches then, and we were deeply involved in the struggle for multi-partyism. So that is another generation which participated, then leading eventually to the Constitution 2010. That's another generation at the age of where the young people are now, until we come to Gen Z. So transcending all this, we wanted to say that there has been very actively involved generations in wanting to have a just, peaceful, and participatory and economically prosperous Kenya. And especially also when it comes to democracy. Now, we talk of transgenerational conversations, but the subtitle is The Quest for Political Decency and Accountability in Kenya. So that's what the transgenerational conversation is all about. I love the sub bit of it. And through your research again, Dr. because when you talk about transgenerational conversations, and he's given us, the journey. He was at Bomas years ago. I'm trying to imagine that the constant here is peace. It doesn't matter which generation, all right? Actually, peace, even in the Bible, Reverend, right? Absolutely. That is it. But what is the missing link? Much as we want to do the transgenerational conversation, what is now breaking that link between the older generation and Gen Z, and even in the line of the pipeline to create cohesion in our country?
Thank you. Our research has shown that we are not addressing the issues to do with the attitudes, number one. We are not addressing the issues to do with the institutions or structures. We have structures that are not very properly instituted because they are affecting other people's rights. We have structures that advance poverty. We have structures or institutions that do not address the issues of respect of the rights of others, for example, or an equal distribution of resources. So for us, we have research and evidence and data that shows that if you address all these three elements using what we call a positive peace framework, a positive peace framework is anchored on 8 pillars of positive peace, whereby you are addressing the issues of attitudes, institutions, and structures that not only create peaceful societies, but also create what we call sustainable and cohesive communities. And this is why we use what we call data-driven research and share with multinational organizations. People use our research. We produce the Global Peace Index. We also produce what we call the Global Terrorism Index. We also produce what we call Ecological Threat Register that addresses issues with environmental issues that affect the daily lives of human beings. And all this, also the issues of business is another important aspect. You cannot be here doing your business if we don't have peace. So as a business person, for example, you also need to be part of peace-building activities. And that's some of the messages we are getting out there to cultivate the culture of peace, even through business. Even if you're a business person, what are you doing in terms of building peace around your business? Because if there's no peace, your business is not going to thrive. So we must be able to calculate also, cultivate the culture of peace as you do your business in your own little way. And this is because it's very important for us also when you do peace building activities to use what you call research, use some evidence that's scientifically proven to be able to have what you call impactful results. And this will go in a long way, making sure that we have a peaceful and peaceful societies in our communities.
Let me add to that. The missing, what you call the missing link. And this is where, when we talk of a culture of peace, becomes very important. What is missing is even in our education system, we don't have a way of building on what has been achieved by this generation to the next generation. We don't have a way of passing the baton, you know, so that, you know, that is where it will really be important for us to see, because traditionally, every community has a way of passing on the baton to the next generation. But in Kenya, we don't have that as a country, which means we are really not a nation as such. The nations, you know, the nation of, you know, the Luo people, for example, or Meru people, they have a way of passing, you know, what they have learned. Then you pass the next, they build on it to the next, and they stand on the shoulders of the previous generation. We don't have that, and that's why we wanted to make for it to be a culture that builds, you know, that it transcends and transfers what experiences have been learned. Secondly, is the question of values. Sometimes we don't have a way of also having common values. And that is why for us, Article 10 of the Constitution on national values and the ethos is very, very important. So that now these transgenerational conversations, will have it as part of our lives and as part of our culture as Kenyans. So that is where I think it's important to begin to see that. And as Danny said, when it comes to teaching or educating the next generation, we don't have this, you know, in our education philosophy and the curriculum. We need this to be built up, and that was why, as NCIC, we have Amani clubs in secondary schools. But we would like, before you even get to secondary school, you already have had these you know, values inculcated in you and
from
impacted
elementary
in
levels.
You. Yes, so if we do that, then really we'll be having a culture of peace.
This sounds like a very good event. From the look of things and from the picture you're trying to paint, West Pokot, I'm imagining the culture in West Pokot and going to see a different side of it. But what are some of the events as we build up to this particular day, Dr.
I think NCIC is leading in this, and this is part of the events, so that the public can get to know about the International Day of Peace and what they can do to cultivate the culture of peace.
Yes.
And there are other activities, I'm sure Reverend Dr. Kobe will be able to elaborate some of the activities that NCIC is spearheading in terms of making sure that the day is a success, and how best you can be able also to be involved to cultivate the culture of peace.
Perhaps you can give us a quick rundown.
Yes.
What should we look forward to be ahead of that day? That is 21st.
That's right. This week particularly is we have a series of events. Part of it is what now we are engaging in.
Yes.
So with the media, and the NCIC has really organized media events that is explaining to Kenyans about the International Day of Peace. Then on Wednesday, we have a breakfast on transgenerational conversations. You know, the quest for political decency and accountability in Kenya. This is a breakfast where we are bringing people of different generations. The oldest is a man of 103 years old.
Well, okay.
Getu Wakahengeri is 103 years old. He was detained in Manyani and in Lamu because he was involved in the Mau Mau struggle for liberation. So he'll be one of those who will be there on Wednesday to say, I spent quite a bit of time with him, you know, on that. Then we'll have others who are involved in the second liberation and others, you know, and Gen Z, so that we already begin that conversation. So this is a build-up towards the 21st. Then in West Pokot, in that area itself, we have a number of activities that are happening in preparation for the day itself. Then on Friday, 20th of September, we'll have functions in West Pokot where we'll even be launching a money club in several secondary schools in that area. Then we'll have Council of Elders talking with us. Then we'll have a number of people that we have identified as ambassadors for peace, peace ambassadors. So that will be on Friday, and there will be a peace policy that has been developed by the West Pokot County and the Baringo. And this also will be, but this will be launched on the 21st itself. Then on the 22nd, because this is the first time we have a very elaborate program on marking the International Day of Peace. On the 22nd, we'll have an inter-denominational service where now different churches will come together, and you know, I'll be the main speaker. I've accepted that invitation. So we'll have now all those who have been participating on 21st, as well as the churches there, because we really wanted to involve.
That's crazy. I think I should be there on that particular.
Yes, you are most welcome.
Thank you much. In 5 seconds.
And in fact, media is critical here.
We have to be part of it.
You have to be part of this, because it's through you, it's through media that Kenyans will know what is.
In 5 seconds, what's the future of this country? 5 seconds, kindly.
The future of this country depends on the goodwill of the leadership and the willingness to cultivate the culture of peace from the youngest level of our society up the highest level of society, and being able to implement international instruments and statutes that we are signatory to be able to have our national action plan implemented in totality. Then we are going to have a more peaceful Kenya when this happens.
You know what I like? Sometimes it's always good when you leave it at that particular point, when it's so good and sweet. Dr. thank you so much for joining us, as well as Dr. Dan N. Odaba, Director of Southern Africa Institute for Economic and Peace, as well as Dr. Reverend Paul Kobia, who is the Chair NCIC. West Pokot, see you on Saturday, right?
Thank you.
And let's make peace. My name is Victor Lo. That's where we wrap it up. My name is Victor Lo. Thank you so much for watching. Good morning, Kenya. Let's take a look at what's there on the weather update.
I said let's get to work.
Hey, a little girl, it's a gift for you. You know, respect goes both ways.
If the aim was to let the teacher go quietly, how come there are so many stories about his departure? How come? Something is amiss, eh? Something is amiss.
I can confidently say I have learned nothing, and I am confident it is going to get worse before it gets better.
How about who are you?
I am Mr. Fridge.
What sort of a stupid name is that? What did you do to piss off your...
Amabeli Zimbuba.
Business here.
Kadronge. Amabeli mbizi basoni.
Ya, wa hiki kitu kidogo mmesachukulia nyundo.
Wapi ni ukama?
Unamtagia nini?
Sinataka ende isolve mimi.
Mimi si mtu.
Yeah. Nya. Pai vitu hapa.
What do you see? Damn side. Arrange. What? I'm resigning.
Contract inasema nini?
Mimi niliona pale pameandikwa paid. Nikajua will be paid. Nikasign. How are you pushing the kiparua?
Mimi accountant.
Which calculation are you coming for? This is hotel is mandasi, chapati and mandondo. Hata boiler hamna boiler. Who doesn't have a boiler?